Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Gil McCarr swings it over for Jack Johnson. Shot, tip, score! Miko Rantanen! The Moose is loose. It's his second goal of the night. It's a 4-point night for Miko, and Colorado has a 2-goal lead. Swing and a drive. Right field. Way back. And gone. Oh, baby, did he crush it. Into the second deck, a monster homer for Bryce Harper, and with one swing, the Phillies have a 4-1 lead. He crushed it. So it's 2-2. The at-bat resumes for Moreno with 2 down. Lynn the pitch, and a breaking ball is drilled out toward left center field. A long way. No doubt about this one. Home run left center. 4-0 Diamondbacks. 1-0. This one hit well in the air out toward right center field. Kepler's on the move. He looks up, and that is out of here. Another home run for Jose Abreu. His third of the series. A 2-run blast out to right center field. And in the fourth, the Astros lead the Twins 3-1.
Hey, Andrew, guess what? The show started.
Whoa!
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's Andrew Rogers. You can hear us on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities as well. Of course, we're on Twitter, YouTube.
Almost on YouTube.
So the show's on YouTube. We aren't, me and Andrew aren't quite on YouTube. We were kind of just chatting before the show and sort of forgot that a show was about to happen. So
that's how it always goes.
A little bit, yeah. It really creeps up on you. You get here like 20, 30 minutes early, and then all of a sudden it's 6:59. You're like, oh, shoot.
What should I make my display name today?
Ooh.
Oh, I got it.
Captain Fantastic.
No. I got it. Shane, I'm in.
He is in.
I don't know if I want to put that in.
Yep. Go ahead.
I don't want to.
Go ahead. Pull her up. Yeah. All right.
Now
you got to go look at your people.
My people.
Go to your people.
People in the show. Go Blues.
LGB opening night.
Hockey season.
Season's underway.
We almost match. We're close.
Yeah, we are.
Same color scheme.
I didn't get this for free, though. I actually had to pay for this.
Shout out to my guy, Principal Behringer. We love you.
That's a sweet.
No, it is. It's awesome. It is. It's like Nike. It's the whole deal. It's sweet.
Which is funny because I spent most of my fall at Millard North because Bob Levac, who is their head baseball coach, is also a coach for the Prospects, and that's where we practice.
Yeah.
Outside, well, there was that and Elkhorn you could have gone to, but Millard North is closer to me. So I ended up at that baseball field more times than not. You guys have a pretty good team over there.
Yeah.
I say you guys as if you're playing.
Well, I'm still actively I actually haven't kept as close to tabs on the baseball program as I used to. A lot of my really good friends were part of one of the best teams in state history, honestly. But no, it's a nice facility over there. They finally, so for the longest time they didn't have lights on the field, so they couldn't play night games.
Interesting.
And so
that's how I played in high school with no lights.
They finally got the lights up. I mean, it's probably been 10 years now that they got the lights up there, but no, we love it over there. We Principal Behringer is doing some good things. We appreciate his support of the show.
The only Behringer line that I know is from one of the best movies from our childhood. At least my childhood.
You say our childhood. I was like in college when you were born.
When were you born?
I was born in 87.
Yeah, from my childhood. And
because you're born in what, like 98?
7.
90. I was my bad. Okay,
let's not push too close to 2000.
So I was only in like 5th grade when you were born.
Yeah,
not college. Not that bad.
You probably watched Holes when it came out.
So it was big when I was a kid, but I didn't actually ever watch it
when you were a kid. So when
I think Holes came out like
had to be in like 0405. Was that?
I think it was late before that. I might be wrong here.
2003.
Okay, you're right. So yeah, I guess it came out. I know. So it was a little late for me. It was a little late.
Behringer, we used to always laugh at this line growing up, my family and I, because it was just where is it Stanley? I think it's Stanley that finds the lipstick tube of Kate Barlow, kissing Kate Barlow, the protagonist / antagonist of that movie.
We call it an anti-hero.
Right.
Like T Swizzle. She's the anti-hero.
Yeah, something like that. So he finds this lipstick tube And they're like rubbing it off, and they're like, KB. And this random dude comes over. Yeah, that's Keith Barringer. Man, who is that? Oh, he was in my math class.
Cool.
And so that Barringer last name is like what I always associate anytime I hear that last name.
Okay.
Anytime, any conversation. I don't know why that sits in my head. I think it's just because we used to joke about it a ton growing up.
Yeah.
But it is stamped in my brain.
So this
So was Barringer in your math class, or
no, not in my math class. No, he although he did, I think, start substitute teaching or student teaching. I don't remember which. While I was still in high school at Millard North. So, and he is now the head principal over there. So there was some overlap, but I don't think I actually ever had him as a teacher. I think he was other subjects.
I love those moments, because even in high school for me, there was a guy that was a substitute for us in grade school. Then he would substitute in high school too, and he became a golf coach for the school.
Okay.
And you always just felt like you could be like, I don't know, not like, oh, you didn't have to take him seriously, but like a bro.
Yeah,
right?
it's a little looser.
Yeah.
A little bit looser.
Every time you had him, you're like, oh my goodness, Mr. Higgins is here. Which, by the way, he owned an ice cream shop, a custard shop in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And could they put out some good yellow cake batter? My goodness.
Yeah, you bought that yellow cake batter
Yum,
life?
yum, get you some. Mm-hmm.
Was that the name of it, or
No.
just the thing you say?
No, and I took that line from my Dano's seasoning guy. It's
Oh,
like, oh,
okay.
yum, yum, get you some. But I really liked it.
You know,
so I hold on to that too.
so this whole conversation reminds me of, so my wife is 6.5 years younger.
I thought
than
you were
I
going
am.
to say my wife was the girl from Holes.
No, she's 6.5 years younger than I
I'm
am.
tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad. Is that what that's from?
Yeah.
I just do it on TikTok.
No, it's from
Keep
Holes.
digging. I thought it was just a TikTok.
No. Wow, the realization on your face.
Yeah, I
when
was
you
like-
finally connected the
I
dots.
was like, wait a second. Oh man. No, so she's 6.5 years younger than I am, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not. But when you put it in context of how old we were when certain things happened,
No big deal.
it shouldn't be a big deal. But so we'll be listening to some songs or whatever, and they'll come up. I listen to like Pop 2K on the satellite radio a lot, or
Right.
or Pop Rocks or whatever. It's all the like 2000 stuff. And
But the Kids Pop version.
obviously, yeah. No, I don't like the swearing. But so like a song like "Yeah" by Usher will come on or something. Be like, oh,
No.
yeah, they play.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
So
no,
the-
no.
And I go, oh yeah, they played this song at my senior prom, and she's like, yeah, I was in 5th grade. And I was like, don't do that. That makes it so weird. Don't do that. It's like we're both in our 30s now, so it's not like it's a totally normal age gap, but it's like when you put it in context of, yeah, I was a sophomore in high school when you were in 6th, or a sophomore in college when you were in 6th grade. It's like, stop doing that.
Yeah, that sounds a little wrong.
It sounds super weird.
Which is funny though, because like, when does that become okay?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I'm not even going to go with like the age that society classifies
Yeah, like
you as
legally,
an adult.
whatever. Yeah,
right?
because it's still kind of weird.
Yeah, like if
Like if I was
you-
25 and dating an 18-year-old, I would feel weird about
Yeah.
that. No judgment.
Well,
That's just me.
other people would feel weird about it too. But it's funny because that person could be 20, which would only put you at 27.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
If you're like 20, I feel like it gets a lot more normal once you get to 21 and like
Once you
everybody can drink.
Yeah, once you can kind of do all the adulting
Because there was
without paying your insurance.
right. No, I'm not interested in that. Well, you can do most of the adulting. No. So after my first marriage ended, I got divorced when I was on like the dating apps and stuff. So I was talking to this girl briefly. I don't think we ever actually even met.
Did you get catfished?
No, but she was like 20 years old and she went to Creighton and I was 30. So it was like, there's a
Okay.
big age gap,
Okay.
right? But like everything was legal, right? But I was like, hey, so we were kind of talking a little bit and I was just like, man, do you want to hang out sometime? And she's like, yeah, we go to a coffee shop. And I was like, oh, where don't we go to? She's like, oh, I can't go there yet. And I'm like, yeah, this probably isn't going to work. That's what I was like. Yeah,
You're like, I've been going there for 9 years.
I was like, yeah, it sounds like a fun idea to date a college girl when you're a little bit older of a guy until you're like, oh no,
you
she
can't do anything I
like,
can do.
Yeah, she's like, oh, let me go get my fake ID, and I was like, I'm out. I'm out.
Wait, I thought you were from Nebraska. Why did your ID say Utah?
What does it say McLovin on it?
Why do you have one first name?
Was,
Why don't you have a last name? Tell me.
It was either this or Muhammad.
Muhammad's the most popular name in the world. Read a book.
But it was that. There was 2 conversations where I was like, there was that one. And then there was one where I was like, hey, what are you up to this weekend? She's and we ended up talking about her homework. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm 30 years old. I can't do this.
Hey, do you remember Pythagorean theorems? Wait, what'd you say?
That's the only thing from math I remember at all. It is the only
I don't even know
thing.
if I said it right.
I think I'm going to assume
that word is such a mouthful.
Pythagorean.
Imagine like you're standing up on the stage, right?
It's my favorite theorem.
You're standing up on the spelling bee stage, and that's the word you get. Do you think you could spell it right now?
Pythagorean. I think I could get close.
Nobody can do that.
There's one letter that I'm not totally sure on.
Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
P-Y.
Okay.
T-H-A-G-O-R. And I'm trying to decide if it's I-A-N or E-A-N. I think it's E-A-N.
That is correct.
Boom.
Nice work.
Pythagorean.
Yep. I still don't know if we said it right.
But we spelled it right.
Can you imagine being a teacher, though, and, gosh, having to say that in your lesson plan like 6 times in a day?
I mean, last week I had to say Red River Rivalry about 100 times, and
Yeah,
I think
that's the same thing.
It's harder.
Whatever the hell it is.
I was sitting here with Avery, and I was like, I'm going to screw this up every time. So I ended up saying it really slow. I was like, Red River Rivalry. Nailed it.
Triple R.
Well, and it's the V's in there, too. The river and the rivalry. I don't like it. I don't like any of it.
No, if it were S's, I'd be screwed.
Yeah, not a big S guy.
Well, I had a minor lisp growing up.
Oh, okay.
I had to go to speech class or speech.
Was it speech therapy? Is that what they called it?
Therapy,
I think they called it speech therapy.
I almost said pathology, but I'm like, that's not right.
No, it's Pythagorean.
So yeah, I had to go to speech therapy, and for I don't know if it was an hour or 2 hours, we would flip through note cards of words that have S's on them.
Sure.
And boy, man, do you get tired of seeing S words?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Although
you just get sick and tired of it.
yeah, well, hey, you nailed that S though. Very proud of you.
Well, when I think about it,
yeah.
I really enunciate
Oh, you
my
like
S's.
Okay, yeah, you overdo it.
Oh yeah, because I will get caught up in the same way that you said with your V's there.
The R's and the V's.
But the S's, you'll see my tongue stick out. It'll go through my teeth.
You trip a little on them.
Oh yeah.
You know, I've never noticed that.
Yeah, you get a sour taste in your mouth.
With the Red River Rivalry.
Dude, I have a problem though.
Okay,
not just with my S's growing up, but I think I can't see.
Yeah, so so there's one of 2 things happening here, right? So either you need corrective vision of some kind, glasses, LASIK, something, or maybe there's also this kind of phenomenon. I don't know if you've experienced this yet.
Mm-hmm.
It started. I mean, I think it's very common with people and their partners, where they're like, hey, can you go grab this for me? And you go to the place that the thing is supposed to be, right? It's like, oh, it's supposed to be in the pantry. And you go in there and you're staring and dear God, you're looking
if it was a snake, it would have bit you.
Yeah. And you're like, and you know, they're going to be mad that you can't find it. Right. And so you're like almost desperate at this point.
No, normally I yell, where did you say again?
No, that's part of it, right? So you're looking,
you're buying time.
Yeah, you're like, I'm sorry, you said the bathroom? No, the pantry. Okay, I'll go to the pantry now. You've been in the pantry the whole time. You can't find it. It's like, where is the peanut butter? I was like, are you sure we bought some
peanut butter?
Are you sure we got some at Costco? She's like, yeah, it's the size of your face because we got it from Costco. It's huge. It's enormous.
It looks like an old Gatorade jug from high school soccer.
It is a 3-gallon tub of peanut butter here, and I'm just sitting there. I go, I've got nothing. And then as soon as you leave and they start stomping down and you're like, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. It's not there. They come back in 7 seconds with the 3-gallon.
Well, they put it there.
Yeah. So they know where it is, but it's also in a place that you definitely should have seen it. So one of those 2 things happened this morning.
Wait, it wasn't underneath all of the rice? All those individual rice bags?
Why do we have so much rice? We never eat rice.
No, so I come in this morning and the TVs, and you can probably catch one on Ravi's stream right now because I still need to switch it, is linked to what
It's an iPad. That's all.
well, everything is linked to this iPad.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is the TV is connected to a different like output right now because last night was music bingo, I believe.
Yes.
And they probably had something on the TVs, or maybe it was trivia too. I don't know. The TVs were set to do something different than watch.
Yeah.
ESPN,
yeah.
which is what we want to do.
Or ESPN 2.
Or ESPN 2, or ESPN News,
or FS1.
Yep. So I was looking for the iPad, and it's out at the bar, and I normally know the spot that it's in.
Yeah.
But it's pitch black out there, and I didn't bring my phone, so I didn't have the flashlight. So I grabbed one of the like tablets that are like set to like take your order, and I was like kind of like shining it around like a flashlight, like in a circle, because I didn't want to move it because it was connected to some wires, and I didn't want to unplug something, and then it's my fault.
Right. Yeah.
So I was just kind of doing it that way. I'm like, you look obnoxious right now. Like, let's put this thing back down. So then I started doing like, kind of like the blind tap,
the pat,
the blind pat on the counter,
trying to feel out.
Yeah.
Where
So I'm like over on one side, I'm over here, and then I just gave up.
Yeah.
So I walked back in, I sat down, didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
But even like last night at softball, I was like standing at shortstop, where it's normally pretty easy to see, and I'm like, anybody else having trouble like reading the ball off the bat right now? So Shane comes walking back in. I think he stepped outside and he noticed that the TVs still weren't fixed. Yeah, well, he had a reason for it.
It's because he had the iPad.
He comes walking in with this thing, and you would have thought I saw a ghost.
Your eyes got,
or I discovered lightning, or
your
light,
eyes got
whatever it is.
So big.
I found a treasure. I found a buried treasure. Shane comes walking back in with the iPad. And I'm like, where was this?
Yeah.
He's like, it was at the bar.
It's like the same place it always is.
He's like, did you feel over? I'm like, yeah, I could have sworn
He touched it.
It was very much a looking for the peanut butter moment.
I have a problem, man.
Yeah. Because you were
glasses may be in the future for me. But then I like look around now, and I don't know, maybe it was like a waking up thing.
Yeah.
Because like I used to pride myself.
Yeah.
In the car with like my family on road trips, being able to read a billboard that was like, half a mile down the road.
Yeah, sure.
And I could be like, oh, that's what this word says, or says I can read it, whatever. Like I can read what's on this sign. You
Sure.
could you do that if you took off your glasses?
I could make it out, but it's not clear.
Okay. Like I can read that sign in front of us, which is in the dark.
Yeah, I can't even read that with my glasses.
But that's because I know what it's supposed to say.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's half the battle.
yeah,
sometimes.
kind of your brain auto completes.
Yeah. Discovered fire. That's the word I was going for. I said,
Not lightning.
well, no, you know what I
You're
did
doing
though?
Benjamin Franklin.
No, I did the peanut butter thing. Like, is it this? When I knew it was absolutely something else.
You just
like,
threw
is it
something
in the
out there?
bathroom? No, it's in the pantry.
Why would the peanut butter be in the bathroom, Andrew?
Why would lightning be fire? Well, maybe.
I mean, it can cause.
yeah.
That was closer than. That's not that far.
Well, then I went. What did I start with? I went somewhere, and then I went lightning, and then I did treasure because I'm like, what am I trying to get to?
I mean, to a
Fire
certain
is that term.
people, fire
You know what?
was treasure.
Maybe not only my eyes are going out, maybe my brain is going out.
Yeah, we might need to get you to like a neurologist, make sure everything's okay up there. You're a little young for that.
Neurologist for your feet? Oh wait, no, that's not it either. So yeah, it's kind of a problem.
A little bit.
Right now, I'm not overly worried about it, but I'm definitely monitoring it now.
I think it's something to keep an eye on for
Yeah.
sure. I would
Maybe
be,
2 eyes.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that would help for you. But no, I think that's listen. So I mean, I'm not a great person to compare.
You
eyeballs.
are a great person, Robbie.
Well,
don't
thank
say
you.
that.
I'm not the best person to compare eyeballs to because I have had both retinas reattached.
Ugh.
So I'm just happy to have any vision whatsoever.
That sounds really fun. By the way.
Oh, listen, that's not even the worst of it.
There's something worse.
Oh yeah, I have to go get injections in my eyes.
What?
Yeah,
Still?
occasionally. It's not like it's not like a scheduled thing, but it's like a maintenance deal after you get the retina surgery.
It's like oil change or
yeah, I got to get some checkups. I had to get some laser in it last week. It was it's not great. It kind of feels like somebody's tasing your eyeball, which I don't like. I haven't had that done, but I imagine that's what it feels like. Like, have you ever like gotten a little shock, like you like touch an outlet or something, or get a little buzz? It's like that, except for it's happening on your eyeball, which is not ideal.
Ugh.
It's not my favorite thing in the world.
I can't imagine it is.
It's not. Yeah, I actually think I prefer the injections to the laser, which is saying something. It's like no, I would rather you put the needle in my eye.
Was the laser like frying your eyes?
I think it's like cauterizing some like blood.
Is that another word for baking?
No, my eyes look different when I'm baking. There's well, you know, because like
you have to pay attention to like so your hand doesn't hit the top of the stove.
Well, if you're
oven,
like
I get
chopping onions or something,
Yeah.
you know, you get your eyes water a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
But I don't know. It's
Leave
like
it in.
well, I mean, I'm trying to think of what cauterize means in a word other than cauterize. It's like when you
Sounds like something that when you leave the milk out.
no, that's a whole different thing. That's cottage cheese.
Oh.
No, it's like when you use fire to like seal something, you know, to like
Cauterize, burn the skin or flesh of a wound. This already sounds disgusting.
Yeah,
With a heated instrument or caustic.
Yeah,
I read something else. Substance, typically to stop bleeding or prevent the wound from becoming infected.
yeah,
Similar to burn, sear, singe,
yeah.
scorch, and now it finally gets easier with disinfect, sterilize, sanitize, and clean. Imagine starting off with burn, sear, singe, and scorch.
Yeah, so you know when
That's what you like?
it's better than no. That's
So it does burn your eyes.
Yeah, it does. I mean, kind of. Yeah. So it's like when you sear a steak, right? And it like seals in the juices.
So are your eyes like medium rare or are they
I mean,
done?
honestly, I think they're like blue, to be honest.
Oh, so it's still mooing.
There's still a little bit of blood in there. Not ideal. Great way to start your morning, though.
Yeah, making everybody sick to their stomach on the way to work.
Eyeballs bleeding. So I do want to do before we get any further, which, you know, first segment's already gone here, but
Is it?
pretty much. Well, we were talking about Holes, the movie. Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf.
That's exactly what we were talking about. Hector Zeroni.
Behringer.
Mr. Sir.
That's how we got there. Behringer.
If we were, before you go,
Yeah.
if we were a Holes cast,
Oh,
who would we be? Like Shane would have to be Hector Zeroni.
well, I haven't
because
seen the movie. So
Hector is like
tough.
the really short guy, keeps to himself in the movie, but he's like the hardest worker.
Yeah, okay.
And that's got to be Shane.
for sure, Shane.
Shane, you cool with that?
I work hard at school.
He works hard at
We'll
school.
count that. And then, gosh, your armpit.
I don't
Armpit.
know that I love that, but
We'll look that one up a little bit later. And then, gosh, I can't be Stanley. That's too obvious. Dibs on being Stanley's dad that tries to create an odorless like shoe spray. That is me.
there you go. Odorless shoe spray guy, Andrew Rogers. He'll be here all day.
Just smell the shoe.
Coming up next, we will actually set up the show, probably. Let you know who we've got coming up. We'll let you know how to get a hold of us as well. All that and more coming up on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me.
Howdy.
And we are actually going to set up the show now.
Are we?
Well, I'm going to try. While you're distracted trying to fix the TVs, I'm going to let you know.
I'm back.
Shoot.
We're back, baby.
We're going to talk to Mancini from Omaha Hockey coming up in
Can't
the
wait.
next segment.
Moose.
Really excited to talk to him. Mitch Sherman coming up at 8 o'clock from The Athletic. Brian Edwards trying to make you some money. I know
He's got a lot of plays this week.
He does.
Is that kind of been routine for him?
I think it's higher. It looked bigger than like the number of picks looked bigger than
I
normal.
typed it out because I took it from Shane's text,
Yeah.
and I go, holy cow.
He's feeling good this week.
Money-making plays, not just in college, but the NFL too.
Yeah, so we will talk to Brian Edwards at 8:45, and then we will wrap up our guests with our friend Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7 at 9 o'clock. So good show for you. If you want to be a part of it, give us a call on the Warhorse Sportsbook hotline, 888-638-4876, or you can email Ravi at hurrdatsports.com. Or I think Andrew at hurrdatsports.com.
Oh, just Hurrdat.
Just Hurrdat.
So I was like, OG.
I would say you're an old school one.
Yeah. So Andrew at Hurrdat.com.
My first one was Ravi at hurrdat.com, and then it got like transported or changed. I don't know.
Transponded.
I'm not like super.
It's a transponster.
I know I work at a media technology company. I'm very bad at the technology things.
Writing that down for Sasha. Very bad at things, Robbie.
Hey, I told her in the group chat last night. I was like, I don't know what any of you guys are talking about it, but it sounds like you're really good at it, and I'm proud of you. I feel like the old uncle of the group.
You're like, hey guys, I've been around the block, but I don't know how to do the new things.
It's like I have TikTok. I don't really know how to do the.
You
TikTok.
mean talk tick?
The ticking of the talks. Yes. The clock app, as I like to call it.
That's good. I may steal that.
Or the Captain Hook app. The Captain Hook app. TikTok.
No, I like the other one more.
You weren't a. Did you watch? Were you? No, I guess Hook came out like 5 years before you were born. The Robin Williams one. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Oh, okay. It's pretty solid. It ages okay.
No, I've seen the OG Peter Pan. That's the only Captain Hook.
The one from like the 70s or whenever it came out.
Yes.
Maybe older.
The old animation.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, it's all right, I guess. I'm a real boy.
Wrong movie.
I think that's Pinocchio.
It is.
That's the wrong.
Mhm.
Peter Pan. Yeah, you're in the neighborhood.
Peter Pan, Piper
picked a pack of.
That's better in Shrek.
You're not a Shrek guy?
No, I said it's better in Shrek.
Oh, better in Shrek.
The real boy thing.
That is funny. And
I thought you
said, great
said,
line.
Yeah, I thought you said better than Shrek, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that.
I like that boulder. That's a nice boulder.
Good stuff. Well, there was I suppose we could get to some sports here if we really wanted to.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I was watching some baseball last night. I
watched a ton.
I did too. I'm finally back engaged with baseball after, the Red Sox forced me to check out kind of midsummer. I was like, yeah, I need a little break. You and me need a little break, baseball.
Yeah.
But I'm back.
The Cardinals won spring training.
Listen, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
At least you won something. The Red Sox didn't win the offseason. They didn't win spring training. Certainly didn't win in season. Haven't been winning for a couple years now. Anyway, so I'm watching the Phillies game last night, and
more like afternoon.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That game was on and over in the blink of an eye.
It really was, because they had the 6th run inning where Harper goes deep, Castellanos goes deep. But I'm kind of I guess it was afternoon. It starts getting dark early now. I lose what track of time it is. I don't know.
Attaboy, Robbie.
I'm getting old. But so I'm watching these. I'm watching this Phillies game, and after they kind of really put it on the Braves, the Phillies fans start mockingly doing the Braves chant, which I thought was elite trolling. I was very proud of them.
Well, the whole game was troll center.
Yes. You had Harper
from start to finish.
Yeah, you had Harper staring down Arcia and a couple times on both homers.
Yep. Well,
that's
what happens when you wake the bear.
Yeah, there's a bit of animosity there, I think.
And Arcia is just kind of like,
I would say he doesn't have a lot to say about it
now. Did you see him sometimes because they would do a close up on him after the home run? He's side eyeing the Phillies dugout because he knows that everybody is just staring at him.
Yeah,
and he's just like, man, why do reporters have to be the end of me? You weren't supposed to hear that.
And so Harper's going crazy. Who he's low key, I guess not that low key, turned into a really good postseason performer over the last couple years, which I don't know. I think it sort of changed how I view Bryce Harper a little bit, because this isn't really what I wanted to get to, but he came in with so much hype. It's really hard to live up to what we thought he should be. And I don't even know what that would have looked like, right? I mean, would he had to have looked like Ken Griffey Jr. for me to say, oh yeah, he lived up to the hype or whatever, right?
Sure.
But he's been very good. I mean, I think he's got
but he separated himself as that type of player, kind of like what Connor Bedard is right now. He
Sure.
comes in with all this hype.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jack Hughes, another hockey player, and
Yeah.
I just brought 2 hockey references, but came in with a ton of hype.
Sure. Yeah.
Where he kind of is isolated,
Mhm.
where it's just he's the one.
Yeah.
He's the precious child.
Yeah.
That was Bryce Harper when he 1st
Mhm.
came into the league.
Yeah. There's a very like LeBron type feel to it. in terms
LeBron
of-
is another great
yeah,
example
like
of that.
on Sports Illustrated cover when he's in high school, and graduated early so we could go to JUCO, so we could get to so we could get to the draft a year earlier. Like all of these things, and so and like I said, he's been very good. He's had a very good career, but it almost feels a little short of what we would have expected. But in these last couple of years with the Phillies in the playoffs, it kind of feels like he has established, even if the numbers aren't really that different in terms of his regular season numbers and things like that, because that's usually what we judge guys off of in baseball,
Yeah.
right? Because there's such a huge sample size. But when you kind of have that extra in the postseason, it can take hey, these are really solid, really good career numbers to, and he did this in the postseason, right?
And he can step up to the plate and make something
and have
happen
these clutch plays, right? It's the
when it matters most.
It's the David Ortiz effect, right?
Mhm.
Like before David Ortiz had 500 home runs or anything like that, he had elevated himself because of his postseason antics, right? And so,
and let's not forget that Harper won the MVP like 2 years ago.
yeah, no, he's a great player,
Right.
right? But it's just when you come in with that level of expectation, it's really hard to match that. Like that's kind of the crazy thing about it. We were going back to the LeBron example. We were hating on LeBron for having not won a championship yet, or only having done it with, after he gets help in Miami. And it's like, he's been awesome. He's got these MVPs. He puts up great numbers. He's won championships, although we don't like how he did it. And we're still like, he's not, until recently, it seems like the last 5-ish years where people kind of have come around, and the people that don't come around are never going to, but it's
like my dad.
It's like this dude
he's not a huge Bryce Harper fan.
And that's fair, right? Like maybe you just don't like the way he carries himself, whatever, but it's hard to deny the baseball has been very good.
Well, and this year I was starting to wonder because he kind of tailed off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it didn't seem like he was hitting the ball hard anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's just because I'm a degenerate sports bettor and I like to bet on Harper to get a hit every now and then or a home run or whatnot. But I would watch a lot of his ABs and he didn't look comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was, dealing with a unspoken injury
or lingering issue.
Yeah, whatever it is. But seeing him in the postseason, he hasn't lost a step.
No.
He has not. And you know what?
Yeah.
If all he needed was a little bit of tinkle in his Cheerios to really get him going, then by golly gee, the Phillies should be begging other teams to say something bad about that man.
Yeah, they should.
Or begging the outside world to just break in some noise
right,
so that it just fires him up.
They need to send a gift basket to Arcia and just say, hey, thanks, bud.
Here's some banana bread.
It's kind of interesting, though. You mentioned his slow start. His power numbers were down a little bit this year. But kind of the thing I actually wanted to get to with the Phillies fans, who, again, elite trolling last night. Terrific job by them. They are not famous for being the most kind-hearted fans, right? But another guy on the Phillies who got off to a really terrible start, who I believe also homered last night, Trey Turner, I don't know, like I just saw this a couple weeks ago where I knew he had gotten off to a really, really rough start to the season, right? I mean, terrible.
Oh, really bad.
And
he
then,
was batting like 8 and 9 for a good half of the first third of the
low
season.
200s.
Maybe first half of the season.
Over the first half. It was basically through July. He was terrible. Early August, the Phillies fans basically do a flash mob type thing and decide to give him a standing ovation. In August and September, he turned into a totally different player, reverted back to the $300 million man, and has been cruising ever since. He's had a 900-plus OPS since the standing ovation. Before that, he was in the 600s for the season. It was just like, hey, did we just figure out that if you're nice to baseball players, they're going to play better?
Travis on YouTube, I refuse to give Philly fans any credit for anything. I agree.
Hey, fair enough. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Victor Mancini of Omaha Hockey here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me, and we are joined now on the Warhorse Sportsbook hotline by Victor Mancini of Omaha Hockey. Victor, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, we are doing
Moose, good to hear from you,
just
man.
fine.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so big build up here. I know we did just chat recently. I think it was last week. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. Now everything kind of flows together. But Victor and I had just done a little season preview segment over at Baxter Arena because home series begins this weekend against Niagara, which let's start here, Vic. If you remember last year, it didn't go very well for the Mavs.
Yep. No, I remember all too well. It's been stuck in my head, so we're definitely looking for some redemptions this weekend.
Hey, was that the series? And I was trying to figure this out last night. Was that the series where some extra antics took place at the very end of the game?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, what series was the big fight after the game?
That was Alaska.
Alaska.
Fairbanks.
Got it. Okay. I knew it was one of those oddball teams that the Mavs don't normally play against. Okay, well that helps. It solves. See, he remembers. I knew he would because he was probably in the mix of everything.
Are you, Victor? Be honest. Are you like to scrap a little bit?
If I'm on the ice, I'm not afraid to get into things. But I was actually injured that game, so I remember watching from the stands. I won't lie. I was wishing a little bit I was out there, but still, it's good to watch, I guess.
Man, so Victor was actually drafted by the Rangers in this past draft in the 5th round. I know you weren't physically present for the draft, but what was it like seeing your name come off the board surrounded by your teammates in that moment?
Yeah, it was an incredible feeling. It's just kind of speechless. Yeah, like you said, I didn't travel to the draft. I didn't have any big expectations. It was my 3rd year going through the draft. But we had it up on a TV in the locker room. We're all in the locker room after practice, and saw my name go up on the draft board. And you look at it, and all the guys are kind of looking at you in the locker room. Everyone congratulating you. It felt really good. It was nice to share that moment with my teammates.
Victor, as we kind of look forward to Omaha's season, as Andrew mentioned, coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Friday, Saturday.
Make some noise.
Big series with Niagara. What are some of the things you're looking forward to as you get the season kicked off?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I think just playing at home again in front of our home crowd and at Baxter is going to be really fun. It's always comfortable playing at home. You can hear the crowd. You got them behind you. Just playing with this team, I think we have something really special this year. Obviously, all the guys that returned, and then really talented freshman class, a great group of guys with the transfers. It's been really exciting to see in practice this past month and a half. So to now be able to play games with these guys, it's really exciting. And then on top of that, like what you talked about last year and when we played them and the way things went, I think we have something to prove. It's a little redemption weekend for us, and we're really excited to play.
Moose, speak to the fans that may not be, in love with the sport of hockey here. What try to get them to come to a game. Like, what can you tell them about experiences at Baxter Arena that they'll get to be a part of if they just give it a chance?
Well, I think, on the hockey side, it's just constant action when you're watching the game. It's a really fun sport to watch. It's hard to look away, because if you look away, you might miss something. And then I think just the atmosphere of going to the games and how passionate our fans are, I feel like that rubs off on anyone who comes to a game for the first time, to where they come, they watch us play, they see how hard we work, and they see the support our fans give us. I think it's really inspiring, and it definitely rubs off on you.
You mentioned the talented incoming freshman class, also a good group of transfers, but you have a guy by the name of Tanner Ludke on the team. He's kind of like Omaha's version of Connor Bedard, is he not?
Yeah, you could say that. Really good player, really good guy. It's been fun to have him.
Now, you've been a part of many season openers. If you could find one thing about this one like home openers. I mean, when I say that, if you could find one thing about this one, what makes this one different? What are you looking forward to most come tomorrow night?
I don't know. There's a lot of things. I think just how we've been, building since I got here my freshman year and the stuff we accomplished this year. I feel like our team and the city of Omaha is really excited to what we can put together this year and try to build off, all the things we did last year. So I think just, keeping that in perspective, but also knowing that, this year's a clean slate and that we have a lot of hard work in front of us. I'm really excited to just kind of run out of that tunnel and get to work with my best friends.
Victor, I'm curious, obviously you're not from Omaha originally. How, as you're kind of going through this process of deciding where to continue your hockey career, how'd you land on coming to Omaha?
Yeah, I'm from Michigan, which is a bit of a hockey hotbed. I think we got 7 Division I schools in Michigan. So if you'd asked me at 15, 14 years old that I was going to go play hockey in Nebraska, I would have said you're crazy. But no, I mean, the coaches got me on campus. I just kind of fell in love with the place. Paul Gerard was a coach at the time, and that was really big for me. Just the way he cared about his staff and his players, and I knew I was going to get better under him and the rest of the coaching staff. I love the atmosphere. When I went to my first game, you sit in the stands and you see and you hear how passionate the fans are and how much they back you. And you kind of look around and you're like, this is the place that's right for me. And I want to be here and I want to, contribute to something here and leave behind something special.
Victor, you mentioned Nebraska maybe not being known for its hockey, but you kind of found out Omaha is low-key a little bit of a hockey town.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to tell people when I talked about it, it's the hidden gem of college hockey. Not a lot of people outside of Omaha or maybe the NCHC really know about it. They know it's Division I hockey, they know it's good, but if you're not here and you don't see the game and the atmosphere, I don't think you really fully understand what it's all about. And when you see that, you really appreciate how awesome it is.
Victor, a starter since freshman year, what parts of your game are you currently fine-tuning, not only to prepare yourself for the pros, but to help this Mavericks team contend for a national title this year?
Yeah, I think a big part of my game is just my consistency and the way I play the game on defense, and just kind of fine-tuning that and knowing that when I play my game and I keep things simple, I use my vision that I'm playing my best. And I know a lot of the things that I do well, I think help on our team really well. I'm trying to add to the offensive part of my game, but I know I'm okay with not, making big plays or scoring big goals. I know that my offense can come from my passing and the way I stop plays in the D zone and getting the puck into the hands of my forwards and, kind of kickstarting things from there.
Victor, I'm curious, how do you guys sort of talk about your goals for the season? Obviously, you play a great schedule here at Omaha. A lot of that's in conference, but you go and challenge yourselves outside of conference as well. Do you talk about, hey, let's be super competitive in the NCHC first, or do you allow yourselves to think like, hey, let's try and make the Frozen Four, let's try and win a national title? How do you think about that internally?
Yeah, we've had a lot of talks about it as a team. I give Sully and the other captains, Randy, Millsy, a lot of credit for what they've done this preseason and just talking with the team and keeping things in perspective. And we have a set of goals that we talk about, kind of like steps that we're looking forward to this season. Obviously, the national championship is on there, and that's your end goal. But I think we have goals in place in front of that we're trying to hit throughout the season to keep us accountable. And it's right as big as a national championship, and then it starts as small as, you got to come to practice every day being ready to work. And even if you're not at your best, you're going to work hard because it's going to better yourself. It's going to better that teammate you're going against too. So,
Victor, I got a fun question for you before we wrap this thing up. So here's your scenario. Okay.
all right.
Say, you're spending some time with your girlfriend, and you have practice later on in the afternoon. You guys are watching a movie, but you fall asleep. no alarm was set, and oh no, now you're going to be late to practice. Who on the team can you rely on to give a good enough excuse to Coach Gabinet so you can avoid conditioning?
Oh boy. Well, I hope I'm never in that scenario. That really goes against what we were talking about, holding ourselves accountable and talking about those little goals. But who would I talk to? I'm gonna go with Griffin Ludke, another D-man. I don't know why he pops into my head, but I feel like that would give him a little bit of a dilemma, saying vouch for me for being late, but I think he'd do it for me.
Well, you're fellow defensemen, right? You got to trust each other. You got to have each other's backs, right? You got.
What do you think?
Exactly.
What do you think he says to Coach?
Oh gosh, I don't know what he'd say, but I think he'd be able to come up with something on the spot and vouch for me. But you're exactly right. I got to go with another D-man. I don't know if I can trust the forwards.
Great teammate.
Victor, let me just tell you, have him say it's a bathroom issue. Nobody asks follow-up questions to a bathroom issue.
That's true.
Victor, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Moose, appreciate you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's Victor Mancini of Omaha Hockey. Make sure you get out this weekend to Baxter Arena tomorrow.
And they have like 4 or 5 homestands in a row.
Yeah, they do. They've got a really good start to the season here at home. Niagara tomorrow night and Saturday gets it all kicked off, or drops the puck, I should say. That starts this weekend. Go check it out. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Yeah, I think when you look back at like Iowa State and the big John Heacock and the Big 12, they kind of first started it, and I think a lot of teams just recognize. I mean, if you're in the NFL and you're a rookie quarterback and you're playing against Bill Belichick, he's probably going to drop 8 the whole game on you and make you throw into windows, and you can double guys. And you're taking away the underneath throws, and there's you can have 3 guys deep. So we do it a good bit. Other teams do it a good bit. You had to have a really an accomplished receiver or accomplished passing game to find holes in it. We did it against Tom Brady, and eventually he'd find a way, obviously, to get you. But a lot of times, he would check the ball down before he finally figured out where he wanted to go with it. So it just takes a lot of precision in the passing game. And if you have some guys who can rush with a 3-man rush, then you're cooking with gas.
Here we go, hour number 2 on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me, and I want to tell you about our friends at Warhorse Sportsbook. They are the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. You go live and in person at the casino, to go to their kiosks, go to their sportsbook tellers, or get the Warhorse Casino app, build your bets on the app, then go to the casino, scan the QR code, and place your wager there in person. Warhorse Sportsbook, no bets, no glory. And now joining us on the Warhorse Sportsbook hotline is our friend.
Then you're cooking with gas.
Is our friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic.
Mitch, I wonder if he cooks with gas.
He seems like an electric stove kind of guy. What are we working with over there, Mitch?
I've got some gas. I'm cooking with gas.
There we go.
Always.
I
knew Mitch cooked with gas. Like that. He looks like a gas cooker.
Are we, is that indoors and outdoors? You working with the propane on the grill?
Yes. Cooking with gas indoors and outdoors. Although, I'm not going to turn down a good charcoal opportunity at the right moment.
Or smoker.
Ooh, I'm a big charcoal guy.
With that.
Yeah.
I mean, in my I'm sitting in my kitchen right now. On my back patio, I've got the gas grill and then the gas stove right in front of me. So that's the way I roll.
Mitch, really good to see you. It's been a while. Can we just take a moment and reflect that the Huskers are 3-3, pretty much right where they're predicted to be at this point in the season?
Yeah, that's where I had them. Not the path that they've taken to get there, but that's where I had them at the midpoint. And it's funny you say that. We published my midseason report on Nebraska football today on The Athletic, or yesterday afternoon, and one of the things I did in that piece was revisit some of the preseason predictions. And you think for all that's happened this year, and it's been a bumpy ride, they are at the place where I think a lot of people expected they would be. Now, I thought it was going to include, this is before the season, before all of the Dion hype went through the roof. I thought Colorado would be a win, and Illinois has been a surprise disappointment, and I had that as a loss. So you switch those two, you get the same record, obviously. I think the game out there right now, and looking back at it, where you might need to reassess things is Minnesota, because that obviously was a lost opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mitch, I'm curious, as you're going through your midway point grades, and it's sort of unusual to have a bye week directly in the middle of your season, although I'm sure Nebraska doesn't complain about it too much. But how do you evaluate a guy like Marcus Satterfield, who obviously the offense has been disappointing in terms of just overall production, but you also probably have to consider not only the incredible amount of injuries, but also the fact that he was able to get Heinrich Haarberg ready and be functional as a Power 5 quarterback. I guess, how do you balance all those things that kind of are pulling in different directions when evaluating Satterfield?
Right. I think you have to take into account what's gone on, obviously, with the injuries and just how many pieces have been taken away from Marcus Satterfield. They expected to come into this season, when you go back to July, with Eric Gilbert as a key part at tight end, with Xavier Betts as a wide receiver who could take the rope off of a defense. And then, of course, with Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda, who started the season as a wide receiver, went down with an injury in the Minnesota game. You look at the running back spot and everybody they've lost there, 2 of the top 3. It's been, one of the more challenging, extreme situations that you'll ever find for an offensive coordinator. So the fact that they even have an offense, that they have anything that they can rely on, that it looks even viable out there on the offensive side for Nebraska, I think speaks to the adaptability that they've shown. And at the top of that list is Marcus Satterfield and how he's adjusted and how he's embraced and been open to different things. They didn't expect in any scenario to come into the season and have to run the option, so in the way that they have. So that's a credit to him, but it's also, fair warning that hey, this can happen, and next year they're going to have more depth, and they're going to have some alternative plans, so that if things do go awry, you wouldn't expect it to be like this, but if things do go awry, there's like a plan B. Plan B this year, I don't even think was in the works until they got past the first game or two.
Hey, Mitch, could you do us a favor and go out and come back in real fast, re-hook up, because it sounds a little muffled on our end, and we just want to give the listeners the best chance at hearing your great coverage, because I don't want to go through this whole thing and then realize
and miss something important.
Yeah. He made a really good point though about Satterfield, because I think that is the hardest kind of grade to give so far this season, right? Because on first blush, you look at it and you go, hey, yeah, the offense has, at the end of the day, the offense's job is to put up points, right? Like, that's it. But when you look at the circumstances, he talked about Gilbert, that's a guy I think they were really anticipating having a big part in the season. 3 of your top 4 wide receivers from July, August are gone, right? So it's a really incredibly hard evaluation. As Mitch was saying. Mitch, a much easier evaluation probably is Tony White, who has been, I think, as good as anyone could have hoped for. I guess a different sort of question on Tony White. Where has the defense been compared to your expectations going into the year? Because I think a lot of us didn't really know what to expect with the 3-3-5, with some of the personnel. I have to imagine at the very least everyone's pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Hope you guys can hear me better
Perfect.
now.
It sounds great.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, I had high expectations for the defense, and I thought that was going to be the group that had to lead the way, and a lot of that was a result of the way that Matt Rule talked about the defense coming out of some of the scrimmages in August. You could tell that they were happy with the progress that they had seen, and it was that way in the spring too. I remember coming out of the spring and thinking that Tony White was the coach on the job, coach on the staff, who had done the best job in just jumping in with those 15 practices and getting the most done. And it continued into August. So I'm not surprised that the defense is the group that's clearly ahead in the progress, especially when you factor in all the injuries on the offensive side. And now the defensive side has had some injuries too, but they've gone out and developed depth from the very beginning. Even in those first 2 games that Nebraska lost, you saw 20 to 25 defensive players out there in important moments, which is somewhat unheard of. And, I think it was a great plan for Tony White because he knew that if they got dealt curveballs, if a guy like Deshaun Singleton, who was a breakout player, if he went down with an injury, they were going to have somebody behind him who could come in and it wouldn't be a drop-off. Same thing with Luke Reimer, Nebraska's most productive defensive player, arguably, coming into this season. If he went down, as we've seen the past couple games, they had to have guys ready. There's not an excuse of, hey, we've had a bunch of injuries, so that's why we're giving up 400-plus yards a game. No, and that's not – a coach doesn't want to have to say that, doesn't want to have to answer questions like that. And that, to me, is the number one thing. Well, number one, I say, would be instilling that mentality that you've seen that's new with the black shirts or renewed with the black shirts this year in the way they swarm to the football. Number two is how he's been forward-thinking and developed depth from the very beginning so that when stuff does go offline, he's ready to step in with a replacement.
Mitch, I want to go back to the presser we heard on Tuesday of Coach Rule saying Nebraska needs to get about 7% better on third downs on offense and defense. And I kind of want to talk about the importance behind that 7% and how easy or difficult that is to attain. Is that like asking a swimmer to shave 7 seconds off his freestyle time? Or is that like asking a lineman to lose 7 pounds? Because one can take 3 weeks to a month. The other may take until the season's over.
You talking about like a 500 meter freestyle or a 50 meter? There's a big difference there.
Let's go
50
with the
meter
50.
would be incredible.
Yeah. I don't think Nebraska's going to add 7% to their third down conversion rate and take 7% off on the defensive side when you look at that figure at the end of the year compared to where it is now. But what's easier to do would be to improve the second half by 7%. So it's maybe going to be 3 or 4% of a gain, and that seems more realistic. I mean, right now they're kind of in the lower middle to bottom of the Big Ten in both of those categories, and it's a little surprising on the defensive side with as well as the defense is played that they're giving up third down success at a low 40s clip. I think they can strive to make that in the mid 30s or low 30s even the rest of the way, which is going to bring it down 3 or 4 points, the total number. That's semantics. He wants to see it better is what he wants on both sides of the ball. The strength of this defense has been stopping the run, which is, I think, that was the number one concern with the 3-3-5 coming in. But they've got big guys up front. I think Nash Hutmacher is the midseason team MVP all the way around because of the job that he's done in being the control piece for the defense. That 3-3-5, it's not effective if you don't have a nose tackle who can control the middle of the field. It all starts there. And then I think it also starts kind of at that rover spot and with the safeties. And Isaac Gifford and Deshaun Singleton before he got hurt and Omar Brown have done a great job at those spots too. But I think it's easier to fix the third downs on the defensive side for this team than it will be to go up into the 45% range as an offensive group. But they can definitely get better on both sides of the ball.
Mitch, kind of looking at the rest of the season, I think, as Coach Rule said, hey, there's nobody on that schedule that they can't beat, and there's nobody on that schedule that can't beat them. I guess I'm curious mostly about the offensive side of the ball. If we continue to see about the same level of defense, is there a number you have in mind in terms of, hey, it's probably going to take about this many points a game to get 3 more wins the rest of the way?
Yeah, mid-20s probably. I think that's a good way to look at it. You want to strive, if you're Nebraska, to put 30 points on the board every game. And sometimes if you get to 24, that's going to be good enough to win. I think that they're at 19 right now, a game through 6. I think if they add 4 or 5 points to that, then they'll be in good position to win 3 of the last 6. And you look at the teams that they're playing, and Michigan is in the past. They don't have Michigan the rest of the way, or a team like them. I mean, it's Maryland and Wisconsin as the 2 best teams on the schedule the rest of the way. And if you put those in the loss category for Nebraska, which I know they're not doing, but if you're trying to unemotionally look at the 6 games that are left and you say, all right, they're going to be underdogs against Maryland and Wisconsin, especially Wisconsin on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happens in the next 4? All 4 of those games are swing games, and Northwestern maybe not a swing game. Northwestern maybe is one that is on the other side where Nebraska should win that. So there's 3 more. You need to win 2 of those: Purdue, Michigan State, and Iowa. And in those games, how many points is it going to take to win? Well, it's different game by game. You know, in Iowa, you might win it with 14. Purdue, you might need 31. So. But overall, I think if this offense can up their points per game by about 1 score, between a field goal and a touchdown on the average, that they're going to be in good shape.
Mitch, I was looking at your 5 keys for Nebraska to get to at least 6 wins, and number 5 really stuck out to me. Incorporate the youth, because I think that has great importance, especially on the outside now, when you hear the names Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, Jaden Lloyd pop up as guys Coach Rule says will need to step up in this moment. Who would you like to see it step up based on what you think the Huskers are missing the most on the outside?
It'd be great to see Malachi Coleman. And I think we've seen it. I think we've started to see it. Now, we've not seen the finished product, and we won't at any point this year see the finished product with him. But there's a place in the middle that would really help Nebraska. 2 more steps that he can take. If he can be a guy who is running routes where he's open down the field, then Heinrich Haarberg's got to hit him. And that's not Heinrich Haarberg's strength, is throwing those 25-plus yard throws. So it's a dual-pronged thing where the quarterback is going to have to work and get better and have confidence that his receivers are open down the field, which hasn't been the case through the first 4 games that Heinrich Haarberg has started. And then the receivers have to get off the line and get past defensive backs in the Big Ten, which that's one part of the schedule where you look at it the rest of the way, and I think there is some concern. 1, because of the playing conditions that you're likely to see in October and November, and 2, there's good defenses out there. Not a lot of great offenses that Nebraska faces the rest of the way, 1 or 2 good ones, but a bunch of good defenses. So that'll be a challenge for whoever the freshman receivers are that they ultimately end up putting out there the most. And it was Malachi in the Illinois game after Marcus Washington went down. I think he has the pretty clear with his size. I mean, he's 6'5", and the guy can run a 10-3, 10-4, 100. I mean, he has all the tools. Just need to see that at use out there on the field and give Nebraska the opportunity to stretch some things offensively.
Mitch, kind of going off of Coach Rule's comments on Tuesday, how do you kind of handicap the quarterback situation moving forward? And I guess I'll ask it this way. Do you expect that we'll see 1, 2, or 3 different guys start the rest of the way?
Right now, I'd say 1.
Okay.
But I'm not far away from being convinced that there could be a situation. Well, there definitely could be a situation. I know there could be a situation where Jeff Sims returns to the starting spot. But, that means that Haarberg gets hurt. It would not need to be a serious injury, but I think if he's 80%, they'd look at going to Jeff Sims and just see what he can give them. If Heinrich turns an ankle in week, sometime in October or November, and they're like, well, we got fully healthy Jeff Sims over here, and Heinrich is having a hard time, turning the corner on an option run. So let's just go see. I think that kind of a situation they would go with Jeff and just see what they've got. But right now, this is Heinrich's team. It's his offense, and he says, hey, the offense and the team, it belongs to everybody. And, technically he's right with that, but the quarterback is such an important part that there has to be some ownership that's taken. And I think he's shown that. He's humble about it. He doesn't say, hey, this is on me. But that's how he's playing. And it's not always pretty. It's, not always getting the results that he wants. There's times where he misses. He makes the wrong decisions. There's time where he runs the wrong play. You see his inexperience, but they're coaching him hard, as Matt Rule said. And I think that as long as they continue to do that, that's a really good sign. If Matt Rule were to take his foot off the gas in the way that he was coaching him, I think that means that his expectations are lowered, and we've yet to see that. He continues to push and continues to coach him hard. I think that they see parallels between what Heinrich Haarberg is doing this season and what some of the young guys that he's coached in college in the past have done. And at Temple with PJ Walker and at Baylor with Charlie Brewer. And, those guys were both huge pieces and really important in elevating the programs after Matt Rule took over in difficult spots in 2013 and 2017.
Do you think Harburg is that elevator?
I don't know that he is beyond this season. That's to be determined. We'll see what kind of improvement he can make in the offseason. We'll see if he starts the rest of this season. We'll see how his accuracy is, how his decision-making improves. He's a physical guy. The running QB part is always going to be there in his arsenal, but he's going to need to learn to pitch the ball on the option, or that's not going to fly in the Big Ten because there's just too many good defenders and linebackers that will eat you alive if they know what you're going to do when you get out there on the edge running that play. So it all depends on just the kind of improvement that he has. He has it in him. I'm not super confident that a year from now we're going to be talking about him as a 15-game starter. I think it's a possibility, but I also think it's a real possibility that Nebraska goes into the portal after this season and finds that elevator guy, the person who can take their program to the next level from another program, somebody who's playing somewhere else right now.
Mitch, I'm curious, and I'm genuinely asking because I'm not sure that I know. Do you think Jeff Sims, we kind of mentioned the struggles that Harburg has pushing the ball downfield, maybe trying to get the ball to a guy like Malachi Coleman. Is that something where Jeff Sims is an upgrade in that specific area? Or I'm not sure we've seen it from him either. Do they have a guy like that on the roster?
Well, we didn't see enough from him to know. And part of that was because there weren't receivers running wide open down the field. I think the longest throw in the air that he made was on that broken play against Minnesota, where he threw it about 35 or 40 yards in the air to Alex Bullock, who was wide open in the end zone. And he was accurate on that. But, any Power 5 quarterback has to be able to hit that throw. So that doesn't tell you what his arm, what his accuracy is like down the field. He's got the arm strength. Mm-hmm. And I think Harburg does too. But, and then Jeff also has the experience. He's done that at Georgia Tech. He made throws like that at times at Georgia Tech. Not as consistently as they would have liked to have seen, but he's at least done it, where Heinrich Harburg really hasn't. And just about every time I've seen him go down the field, it's been off the mark. Either the receivers had to come back for it, or it's been overthrown, or it's just been offline. So I'm sure they see it from him in practice. He's got to put it out there in play on Saturday. And, with Sims, I think what you would expect, let's say he's out there against Michigan State. I think even Northwestern, what you could expect going in is that they might take a couple more shots because they're probably more comfortable knowing that he's done it in the past and has experience finding guys open down the field.
Mitch, coaches will be out on the road today and tomorrow to recruit during the bye week. What spots in town do you think will be of most importance? I can think of one, and his name just popped back up on the market, and I can guarantee Ravi has another option in mind. But what about you?
Well, yeah, obviously there's going to be a presence at Buell Stadium on Friday night when Omaha West Side takes on Millard South, and that's the game of the year in the regular season in Class A and all of the state of Nebraska. So, and you have a ton of players out there. You have players on both sides, players who've emerged this year from Millard South that Nebraska's taken a look at, and of course the whole long list of prospects at Omaha West Side in the 24 and the 25 class. So I'm sure Nebraska will have a presence at that game. If you're talking about Caleb Pyfrom and Omaha Central, who just popped back on the market, we'll see. I don't know what Nebraska's interest is there. Really haven't gotten any indication one way or the other that Nebraska's looking to get him into the mix. I don't believe, I could prove to be wrong on this, that his decommitment from Illinois was directly related to wanting to come commit to Nebraska. Otherwise, I think maybe we would have seen that by now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of players outside of the metro who are within a drive. First of all, you're going to see Garrett McGuire, I'm sure, and Terrence Knighton, Josh Martin, if he's on the road, down in the state of Texas this weekend. It's been a couple months since they've been able to get back down there. Sure. And it's so important for them to just maintain those connections. So those guys are going to be out in Texas, and then there'll be a bunch out in Nebraska and surrounding states, and maybe maybe E.J. Barthel will go out to the East Coast. I don't know exactly what their plans are, but I'd go check in on Carter Nelson if I was the coaches, and I might send Matt Rule to that game. Maybe I'd send Satterfield or or Donovan Raiola over to check out Grant Bricks at Logan Magnolia in Iowa. They're still working on him. But I would continue to recruit Carter Nelson as hard as they ever did when he was uncommitted, because it's a guy who is still on the radar of Notre Dame, and they're going to do everything they can to try to get a visit from him sooner rather than later. And if you're Nebraska, you don't want to get caught flat-footed when that happens.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Terrific stuff as always. Mitch, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Mitch.
Okay, thanks, guys.
That is our friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Coming up
Always good
next,
stuff.
we're almost halfway through. Always
Always
terrific
good
stuff there. And terrific range as well. It's got the recruiting covered, has the in-season stuff covered.
He obviously has swimming covered too.
I was
He
saying-
mixed in 500 or 50. I'm like, all right,
Listen,
Mitch, let's go.
He's a versatile guy. We appreciate Mitch as always. Coming up next, we will have the second half of the show. Hurrdat Sports Radio.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Let's lock in on this moment right now. Let's all just be here for a second, all right? I'm dead serious. Like, take a minute. Let's be everybody be right here. Okay? You guys worked your ass off to be right here. So let me tell you what's going to happen today. Okay, let me tell you what's going to happen today. We're putting away childish things. Okay, we're putting away fear because there's no reason for us to be afraid. Okay, we're putting away expectation. We are going to go out there today, and we are going to play the way we play. It's about our football. It's about the things you freaking guys do. I don't want anybody on that field hoping or waiting. I want guys out there demanding it from themselves and believing in the guys next to them, believing in what they do. I want to see your personalities come out tonight. As long as you just win one rep at a time. I just want you one rep at a time. I don't want you getting pulled out. I don't want you thinking about the score. Just like if we played these guys at practice. How would you guys be? You go after them. And that's what's happening tonight. I believe in you guys. That was clear. The coaches believe in you guys. You guys believe in each other. Believe in yourselves. Believe in the process. One snap at a time. RDB. Every snap. What's next? Play like brothers. Play like brothers. Pick each other up. Help each other out tonight, man. That's why we've gone through what we've gone through. The camp you went through the first 2 weeks, but there ain't no victims here. If we die, we die. If we die, we die. Let's go steal home base like Ron said. Go do it tonight. Go make your plays. Go be you. Just be brotherhood. Let's go, man.
Little bit of Herb Brooks in him, huh?
Woo! Woo! It's a little early for that on a Thursday.
Or maybe a little
maybe
Leonidas, right?
I mean,
if we die, we die.
Tonight we dine in hell. Surprised we didn't get one of those from Coach Rule. Man,
I'm
great.
fired up.
I'm ready to go.
I'm assuming that's from the GBR Rewind that I didn't get to watch yet.
Yes, because I think I came across it when I was about to go to bed.
Same. So it was about 10:30 when I saw it. I came home from softball and I was doing a couple more notes, pulled up YouTube because I wanted to hear the Tuesday presser again.
Yeah.
Just to touch on a few more things. And I go, wait a second, GBR Rewind?
Yeah.
Oh, GB Rewind, sorry.
GBR Ewind.
Yes.
Play like brothers. Pick each other up. Help each other out tonight, man.
I love it.
I do too. I'm super jacked up.
That's why we've gone through what we've gone through.
I also, so there is, you heard his East Coast come out just a little bit where he goes, you freaking guys. I was like, there's New York Matt Rule. I found him.
He's back.
He does sound a lot like Kurt Russell. I mean, doesn't he?
The camp you went through the first 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a little Herb Brooks miracle going on. I think that's 2
This
weeks.
is your time.
I think this is 2 weeks in a row. We've referenced Miracle, which.
Now go out there and take it.
But no, that's incredible. I love that.
I'm sick and tired of hearing what a great hockey team the Soviets are.
That's a great movie.
Screw them.
I love that movie.
That's kind of what I got. I got those vibes, though.
You friggin' guys.
It's like, screw them. Screw everybody. We play together. So
if Herb Brooks and Leonidas had a baby, Matt
Rule.
There we go.
I thought about this, though, and I'm like, gosh, like I had my first coaching stint in the fall for baseball.
Yeah.
And, I wish I I wish I came at it with the passion Matt Rule came at it right there. I'm like, baseball is it was a little more lax because it's fall ball. It's not like
it's like a practice league kind of, or not a practice league, but what I mean.
Development league.
Yeah,
right?
That's the word. Yeah.
And so, I think about it even in like baseball season, like games happen all the time.
Yeah.
Until you get to
you really
the
can't
playoffs.
do that in baseball because you will burn people out.
Right.
Yeah.
But in football it makes sense because
once a
you
week.
play 13 times, 12 times, whatever it ends up being. And so
if you're lucky, 15 times.
Yeah, right, whatever. And because of that, you can do speeches like that. It's kind of like hockey's a similar way. Like, would you do that on Tuesday when you play, X team?
No,
is Coach Gabinet going into the locker room against Niagara tonight? Probably, because it's the home opener,
first game of the season,
right? And you're really getting into it.
You want to get off on the right foot,
right?
You're not going to do this every night,
right? And now you'll instill confidence in your group, but you're not going to do the passionate,
the fiery, rah-rah.
This is your fight speech. You're watching a movie, and that speech you heard from Coach Rule happens 30 minutes or 15 minutes before the movie's over.
Yeah, right before the big battle scene, right at the end. It's the big speech. It's your Braveheart, it's your Leonidas, it's your Maximus, whatever it is, right? That's your speech right there. You go in right before you get into battle.
But I'll tell you what, my parents never let me play football. I'll put on the pads.
Yeah, you go put the helmet on. You ready to go?
I have eligibility left, Ravi. I can play. I don't know if I can play well, but I can play.
Well, hey, listen, I think availability is the best ability, right? And for Nebraska's offense, especially, availability, it might be the only ability that matters.
Now, we were talking a little bit with Mitch about, and I kind of wanted to revisit a thought here before we moved forward.
Yeah.
Because
about the schedule?
Not just the schedule, but the swing games, right?
Yeah.
He had mentioned that Michigan State's a swing game, and then on YouTube, and he sent me a pretty solid text. I'll read it too. But Thomas on YouTube had said, I don't know why Michigan State is lumped into the swing game category. That team is very broken right now and struggles to score and against decent defenses. He'd be surprised if
they scored.
If they scored, I read scared. If they eyesight again, if they scored more than 10 points against NU, which is a real possibility.
Yeah, it's a valid take,
that all of that's happening. But what I told you during the break was this: I don't know if we have any games on the schedule or feel comfortable enough to say that that's a win for Nebraska.
No,
I think it's swing games or a loss. I think that's the only two categories that Nebraska is playing in right now.
Yeah.
And because of that, not to say that, because people are going to come at me, Northwestern, are you kidding me? Like, no, there's reason behind why I'm saying this is because we saw what happened against Illinois in the fact of the ugliness of that game. Yeah. That could easily carry over into any of these games and go the other direction for Nebraska. That's why I'm considering things a swing game until I see a real, mop the floor moment where we clean things up, where Nebraska cleans things up. I'm not going to feel comfortable at all ever saying that Nebraska has a win on their schedule. That's why I also think Mitch said Michigan State was a swing game.
Yeah.
Even with those great points that Thomas brought up, even with the points about Northwestern not being, they're not going to be a competitive football team against Nebraska, right?
Probably not.
That's what the expectation is. But it's still a swing game because we don't know what Nebraska is going to bring in.
Well, so, I mean, it's a good point, and I brought this up kind of before the season as we're looking at the schedule, and I go, there's, I think I said before the year, there's 10 winnable games on that schedule. Michigan's a loss and Wisconsin's a loss. Maybe you switch Maryland and Wisconsin now, but I don't think either of those, obviously neither of those are in the category of Michigan, right? There was only one game Nebraska could not win at any point was that ever going to happen, and that was Michigan, right? So you're left with 11 games on the schedule that one way or another are swing games, right? There's games Nebraska should win. They should beat Northwestern.
They should beat Purdue.
Should beat Purdue. They should beat Michigan State. They should have beat Minnesota.
They should beat Iowa.
Yeah, they should beat Iowa. They did beat Illinois in a game that was a should win, right? But Nebraska isn't at a point, and I've said this before, Nebraska's not at a point with a program where you get a mark W's on the schedule before you play the games. Because, Northwestern is not as good of a football team as Nebraska is, but Nebraska has also showed that they'll help teams stay in the game, right? They helped Minnesota stay in that game. Nebraska controlled 90% of that game. They helped Minnesota stay in that game, and it cost them, right? They haven't earned the right to say, hey, that's a W before they go out there. Are there games they absolutely should win? Yes, for sure. Michigan State is definitely one of them. I agree with Thomas there. But Nebraska hasn't got to the point where you get to count those, or you can even reasonably expect to count those, because we've just seen too much go wrong, including this year, even though, like, I think the Illinois game was a turning point for that, where you could make the mistakes and still come out with a win. Nebraska hasn't made those mistakes and come out with a win in a long time. Mm-hmm. And so that's huge progress for Nebraska. Learning to win ugly is big progress for Nebraska, because you have to win ugly, I think, before you can win pretty. And so get some of those ugly wins. But that's what the rest of the schedule is. The rest of the schedule is ugly wins if you get them. Like, none of them are going to be pretty. I don't think there's a mop-up game on the schedule this year. Maybe against Northwestern if they really get rolling, but I would expect a lot of the games to look like Illinois did.
Let's look at the schedule here one more time.
Yeah.
Northwestern, Nebraska. Swing game should be a win.
Should be a win.
Purdue, Nebraska, swing game should be a win.
Yeah, less so than Northwestern, right, but still should be a win.
Nebraska, Michigan State should be a win.
Probably somewhere between Purdue and Northwestern in my head.
Notice how if all of those end up being wins,
bowl eligible,
you're already 6. You're already at 6. That's the number you need. Whatever happens the rest of the way,
bonus,
right? Not only bonus, but you're there.
Yeah.
And Matt Rule got you there. Like, that's something to be excited about at this point in the season. Nebraska has a real possibility by November 11th to be 6-3.
Yeah, to be bowl eligible. That's all anybody wanted out of this year. Get bowl eligible, right? Like, that is, if they're able to do that before their last 3 games of the season, huge victory for Nebraska. And I know people would be a little cranky if they lose their last 3. Don't worry about that. Get to the bowl. Just get to 6 wins, and you're in great shape. Coming up next, we're going to see if we can get some wins with our friend Brian Edwards.
Oh,
Vegas Insider.
Baby.
Let's make some money here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now, Vegas Insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me. And before we talk to our friend Brian Edwards, we want to tell you about our friends at Dingman's Collision Center. They have been in business for over 25 years, 18 straight years, best of Omaha, 4 great locations, and they can work on any make and model, family-owned and operated business. And the best part is they give back with every car repaired. Go to dingmans.com for more information. For more information about how you can make some money this weekend, hopefully, is our guy, Brian Edwards. B, how are you today?
Good morning, fellas. What's happening?
I feel like we always catch B at like a crazy time. Like, he's so busy doing work, and then all of a sudden it's his turn, and he's like, "Oh, here I am. I'm right here. I'm good."
That would be accurate. I've already written a UFC story this morning, and I've got a bunch of other things going on. But glad to be here, fellas.
Glad to see you, B. It's great to talk to you again and get back into my degenerative state of mind.
Good. I'm glad I have that influence on you. Our boy Scott had a big time at the Mizzou game last week. We were texting. He got a little front door cover, and he had the over, which I had, but Andy was there. Nice for him.
I know. Nice triple threat touch for Scotty there. Let's talk Thursday action tonight. West Virginia at Houston. The Mountaineers 2.5-point favorites. That's where you're going.
Yeah, so they've won 4 in a row, both straight up and against the spread since that loss at Penn State, which no shame in that, especially it was a one-possession game at halftime. They've won their first 2 Big 12 games, 20-13 over Texas Tech, won 24-21 at TCU. And, Houston has faced those same 2 Big 12 opponents with vastly different results. The Cougars lost at home 36-13 to TCU and got drilled 49-29 at Texas Tech. So, knock on wood, all I want him to do is win by 3 or 4. And a lot of books are down to 2.5. I got it at -3, half juice, -105. But again, like I said, I just want West Virginia to cover tonight. But there is a path for them to be 8-1 going into Norman. If they win tonight, they've got Oak State at home, BYU at home, and then between those home games, they've got at UCF before going to Oklahoma, and then Cincinnati and Baylor after that. So it could be a big year for Neil Brown. But as I say that, if it goes south when it looks like it could be a big year, then maybe he's back on the hot seat. So West Virginia -2.5 or 3 tonight.
B, let's hop over to the SEC. Georgia, obviously, with that huge win over Kentucky last week, little bit easier of an opponent at Vandy this week. What are some of the plays you're looking at for Georgia?
Yeah, so I'm going to go my favorite of the plays is the team total for Georgia over 43.5. They've beaten Vandy 55-0 and 62-0 the last 2 years. They had 51 last week against Kentucky, and they've scored 45 or more in 4 of their 6 games this year. Carson Beck seems to be getting better. And look, I would like this play regardless, but Vandy's defense is very banged up with injuries. Their best player, DeRicky Wright, the safety, is doubtful. He's got 29 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 TFL. And then starting linebacker Kane Patterson, who's got 25 tackles, 3 TFLs. He's out, and starting corner BJ Anderson are out, and Vandy's defense is abysmal regardless. I'm also going to play over 56, obviously, for the game in both teams. The over either 6-0-1 or 7-0 for Vandy, depending on the closing line for that Wake Forest game. And, so I like the Georgia team total over 43.5 a little better, but also over 56.
B, does it worry you at all that Georgia team is a slow starting first half team, or is that bet you're going to place all backed by the knowledge of Vandy's just not a great football team?
Yeah, and not very good defensively. And I think Georgia's offense is getting there. And they seem to have their get-right game last week. Now, but at least for this week, I wouldn't mind if they get back to what they were playing before the Kentucky game against Florida in a couple weeks. But at least for this game, hopefully they keep that momentum rolling.
Speaking of your Gators, they've got South Carolina this week. The Gamecocks 2 or 2.5 point favorites, depending on where you look and when you got it. How you feeling about your Gators this week?
Yeah, not very well. I mean, this is a great spot for South Carolina. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, and Florida's playing its 7th game in 7 weeks, and Florida's 1-7 under Napier in their games away from the Swamp. 6 road games, 1 in Jax against Georgia, and 1 in Vegas against Oregon State. And of those 7 losses away from the Swamp under Napier, all have been by at least 5 points. 4 have been by 13 or more. South Carolina's got the better quarterback with Spencer Rattler. The Gamecocks are 7-2 ATS as a home favorite under Shane Beamer. And in 16 home games on Beamer's watch, they're 12-4 straight up, 11-5 ATS. And Florida has lost outright in 9 of 10 or 9 of their last 10 true road assignments, going back to the latter part of Mullen's tenure.
You mentioned this team already, Mizzou at Kentucky. The over-under set at 51.5 points. Which side are you leaning?
I like the over, which is 4-2 overall for Kentucky, 5-1 overall for Missouri. Missouri's last 4 games combined scores of 57, 61, 59, and 88. Brady Cook playing outstanding football, 13-2 TDI and ratio, and 3 rushing touchdowns. And Luther Burden would be a first-team All-American if the season ended today.
He is so good.
Yeah, 54 receptions, 793 yards, 5 touchdowns. But the whole receiver group is good. Oklahoma transfer Theo Weiss having a big year, and Missouri's probably going to struggle to stop Kentucky running back Ray Davis, who's got 8 rushing touchdowns and a 7.2 yards per carry average. I like it over 51.5.
Brian, let's hop over to the West Coast. A low-key, really interesting game, Oregon State and UCLA. I've been pretty high on Oregon State this year, but UCLA pretty solid as well. Chip Kelly seems to have figured things out over there. How are you looking at that one?
Oregon State's pretty much an automatic play for me at home these days. They're 15-1, both straight up and against the spread in their last 16 at home, and that was no misspeak. 15-1 straight up and ATS at home, and the lone outright loss is a 3-point loss to USC last year. And regardless of home, away, or neutral, last 14 games the Beavers are 12-2 straight up, 11-3 ATS, and 10 of those 12 wins by 12 points or more. And the only 2 losses by 3 at Washington last year and by 3 at Wazoo this year. I like the Beavers at home laying 3.5 or 4.
B, before we get into the NFL, a quick question here coming on YouTube. One of our listeners, Ken, asks, is it easier or which – let me read this. Easier league to handicap. That's how it starts. An offensive-minded league like the Pac-12 or the Big Ten?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't been involved with a ton of Big Ten games because I like to get a team I like to back or a team I like to fade. Like I found, Oregon State's a team I've liked to back at home here for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that it really has to do with the scoring or not. I would just say right now I feel like I have a better feel for the Pac-12. I don't know if that answered this question correctly. I just haven't been involved with a lot of Big Ten so far this year.
Appreciate that. Let's move over to the NFL, talk about my 49ers. They are going up against Cleveland. Sounds like Deshaun Watson probably not available.
Is he available? Is he not available? Those are the reports.
Regardless, they are 6.5-point favorites. Any concern about a letdown from the 49ers after that beating of Dallas on Sunday night?
Not too much. I tell you what, though, if Watson doesn't practice today, I know he would still have a chance if he could practice tomorrow. But if he doesn't practice today, I suspect this line's going to go above 7. I got it at -5 several days ago.
Wow.
But
you like it all the way up to 6.5, though?
Well, Cleveland's not an
I like it.
To play.
I like it all the way to 7, and I would get it now because if Watson doesn't practice, I could see this going to 8.5 or maybe. I mean, not necessarily today, but eventually. And maybe you can set yourself up for a hedge. But regardless, I like the Niners at -7 or fewer. If we got above 7, I would need Watson to definitely be out. But look, I know there might be some weather, but I don't trust meteorologists this far out. There might be some wind, there might be some rain, maybe. They botched that FSU Boston College weather forecast so bad like a month ago that. Not that I had much faith in them anyway, but talking about meteorologists. But look, I like San Fran's team total in the first half to go over. I got 10.5 early in the week. I would like it all the way to 13. Their team total for the game is 22.5 right now. Love that over.
The Dolphins real fast here have a team total of 31 points, which seems low against a bad Panthers team.
Yeah, I like it over. They're averaging 36.2 and no A-chain. But look, I mean, Raheem Mostert's been great this year as well. They only had 31 last week, but they threw a 100-yard pick six on second and goal there late in the first half, and they completely hit the brakes on the offense there, pretty much the whole fourth quarter. So, Carolina's given up 42 and 37 in their last 2 road games. Not very good defensively. Miami's dynamic. Team total over 31. Now, if it gets more than 31, I would not play it over because it's going to be a lopsided game, and they might hit the brakes offensively in the fourth quarter like last week.
Brian, real quick before we let you go here, Lions and Tampa Bay -3. What do you got?
I got the Lions, and Mike Evans didn't practice yesterday. Amon-Ra St. Brown did, so that's good.
Ooh,
Brian
Big
Edwards,
Lane.
Vegas Insider. Let's go make some money. We appreciate it as always, B.
Thanks, B.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a great week.
You too.
Great stuff there from our Vegas insider, Brian Edwards. Make sure you go check out all his stuff, brianedwards.com. Coming up, we've got hour number 3 of the show and Michael Bruntz on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome into hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. I'm Ravi Lulla. Andrew Rogers here with me. Want to tell you about our friends at Dyer Law. If you've been hurt in a personal injury accident, you can count on the Dyer Law team to provide you with a helping hand when you need it, no matter what you're dealing with. Call the Dyer Law team 402-393-7529 or visit dyer.law to chat with trusted professionals about your personal injury claim. That's DYER.law. And you know who else you can count on every Thursday at this time is our friend Michael Bruntz. Bruntz, what's up, buddy?
Not much. How's it going?
Hey, Bruntsy. How's it hanging?
Hey. Not bad. It's yeah, we're doing all right. Bye week. We're idle.
You know, that wasn't real convincing with the we're doing all right there. Like, you need a
wait.
little therapy session? What's going on,
He was
man?
about to say something, and then he just went, yeah.
Yeah. No, we're getting through it. It's fall breakdown here. So it's we're living minute by minute.
Got the kids in the house? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay.
Yep, they're here.
I understand the tone of voice now. I totally get it.
Hey, Bruntz, you know, obviously, and we can all kind of bond over this. None of our teams are featured in the Major League Baseball playoffs right now. So I asked Ravi this during the break, and I'm curious, what team, like, is it okay to root for? Like, when you don't have your team in the mix, like, what team to you is okay to root for? So I'm going to ask you, who are you rooting for that you feel like it's okay to root for this team?
Well, I think if you're out, your team's out, and I mean, let's be honest, my team is out in like the first week of April. Although they were atop the AL West standings on the first day. Let's not.
That is true.
I would say it's cute that you waited until the season started to eliminate them.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got to give them some chance. No, I think you root for an upstart team that kind of hasn't been there before. So that was the Orioles. And that's who I was actually rooting for. And they quickly exited. I'd say the Twins are a very rootable team. They're also gone. So no, I think now you're just pretty much. I'm not rooting for anybody.
So not even like the Rangers, not even like the Rangers who haven't won a World Series.
No. It's a divisional thing.
I get that.
What about the Diamondbacks? They're kind of that upstart team. I know they won one before, but they're a nice young team, kind of like the Orioles.
That's probably about where I would go right now. Okay. Everybody else can. I would not root for. So yeah, I guess I'm all in on the D-backs.
You're not tapping into your high school days and rocking that creed with the Rangers. You're not about that life.
No, definitely not. And you can't root for the Dodgers. So
nobody can now.
Yeah. I mean, there were like very few likable teams in the playoffs this year. Even though there was it felt like there was a little bit more chaos, though, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There just really wasn't. I don't know. Just I guess it's the D-backs. That's where we're going.
I'm cool with that.
Bruntz, I guess we'll talk about Nebraska, since that's probably why you're here. There's
not necessarily talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, Bruntz is just here for a good time, not a long time.
Well, so okay.
You guys called whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, I didn't. I just sit here and sometimes people show up on the phone. But okay, so obviously you weren't a Creed guy. If there was a team that was rocking some music from your high school days that would make you inclined to root for them, what band would that be?
That's a good question. There's it's a shame that more billion-dollar baseball teams don't get in more with Rage Against the Machine. That's where I would I'd be okay with that.
Okay. I got to be honest. I did not have you pegged as a Rage guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to think of what was hip in the 90s. And the fact that I just said hip in the 90s means I was tragically unhip. But yeah, I think I would appreciate the delicious irony of like the Dodgers or the Yankees or somebody like that, just like going all in on Rage Against the Machine. Like, don't listen to the lyrics, guys. We just really like
It's
that
just-
this is a fast-paced song.
It's just a banger. Don't worry about what they're saying.
Yeah,
The
they're-
call's definitely not coming from inside the house.
So speaking about what people are saying, we played the clip that's kind of been circling social media now, and I think we're assuming because we didn't have the chance to watch it yet. We think it's from GBR Ewind, with Coach Rule giving his like 2-minute pregame speech in the locker room, which was like, oh man, suit up, everybody suit up. What were your thoughts on it? Did you get to catch that at all, Bruntz? And if so, being able to kind of like see the behind the scenes stuff now that a lot of times, well, let's just call it how it is. A lot of schools don't even put out that content.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, but I think that Nebraska has been really smart with the way that they've done all this. I mean, you had kind of the Hard Knocks style thing during fall camp, which I thought was really well done. And yeah, I mean, it's a brand builder, and they want to showcase what the program's about. And I mean, you guys know, like, there's a camera on everything in college sports nowadays. I mean, Nebraska has just an army of video people, and you may as well use that stuff, especially if it's going to reflect well on the program that you're trying to build. And so yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense to do that. And let's be honest, guys. I mean, Matt Rule and his staff have looked at every angle, I think, for how they can be ahead of the game, because college sports is also it's just programs copying one another. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see more programs doing it. But the staff has done it with the way that they run their camps, the way that they've really kind of tried to find any advantage that they can. And this is another way of just saying, this is who we are, this is how we do things, and oh, by the way, you should come play for us if you're a recruit, and this is why.
Bruntz, speaking of recruits, as the staff has some time to get out to different locations, whether it's, handful of guys probably heading down to Texas, maybe you go out to Ainsworth and make sure Carter Nelson is still feeling the love. Is there a particular, I guess, either coach or recruit that you're particularly interested to see how they're handled kind of in this bye week?
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, you look at a guy like Kawan Lacey, the running back down in Texas. I mean, he's having a really great senior season. And a big part of the reason why Nebraska was able to get his commitment when they did was he was always, option number one, top of the list for Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't necessarily that for Ole Miss, who was also in his finalists. But you have Lane Kiffin down there this week trying to get back in there. Florida offered. I think a number of SEC programs are kind of circling back on him and kind of realizing that they missed something. So, that's going to be a battle, I think, right down to the wire for him, even though he's, very solidly committed right now. I would expect to see Nebraska stopping through there. Carter Nelson's another one you mentioned. Notre Dame had a staffer out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska 2 weeks ago. They're not giving up the fight there. But I think he's, saying the right things. He's got a great relationship with Nebraska. You probably see them out, making sure that stays the case. And, beyond that, it's going to be really key to evaluate ahead, 2025, 26. And like I said, I mean, Matt Rule and his staff are going to take advantage of everything they can. I expect them to be very aggressive this week. These last couple days of the week, they had one coach out for the whole week. And the guy, you asked who, I'm kind of curious to see where he ends up. Evan Cooper is always interesting to me because he evaluates the heck out of guys. And a lot of the guys that kind of pop up as random offers are usually his evaluation. So I'm kind of curious to see where he surfaces this week because, Nebraska's not done adding in 2024 either. And, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a senior film guy or two that we hear getting an offer in the next couple weeks.
Bruntz, earlier we talked about if Heinrich Haarberg can be a program elevator, if he has that in his genes, because at every stop Matt Rule has been to, he's had a program elevator. He had PJ Walker at Temple, he had Charlie Brewer at Baylor, and if he's not a program elevator, do you think there's going to be an emphasis on finding a new quarterback in the transfer portal at the end of Rule's first year, or do you think he sticks with the developmental focus?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I don't know that they necessarily have the full answer on that. Like, there's still 6 games here to kind of see what Heinrich Haarberg can be, and I know they're, coaching the heck out of him. They are wanting him to raise his level of play. He has to. I mean, as good as he's been, there's still a lot of room where he needs to improve. So I'm sure they're going to look at everybody that's in the transfer portal, regardless of, what it kind of looks like, these last 6 games. I think you have to. I mean, you just look at the top program in college football right now. They've gone heavy in the portal, and I think Nebraska has to do that. But at the same time, I think if you have a guy in your program like Haarberg, a guy come in like Danny Kaelin that you feel good about in your ability to develop, maybe it allows you to be a little bit more choosy. Maybe it allows you to, not have to take a risk on somebody that you're a little bit iffy about. So I think you can do a little bit of both. I mean, I think there's going to be turnover. I mean, there has to be with the numbers of guys they're bringing in. So, I guess that's my long answer. My short answer is we'll see. And I think a lot of that depends on how the next 6 games kind of go, whether they feel like Haarberg can be the guy long term.
Bruntz, I'm curious, do you think there's guys at other spots on this team currently that can be program elevators, or does it have to be a guy at quarterback? Are there other places? I'm kind of thinking of young guys we really like on the D line, maybe, or maybe maybe some of the wide receivers really start to pop. Does it have to be a quarterback, or do you think it can be somewhere else that's maybe already a little bit more well stocked?
Yeah, I think it helps if it's the quarterback.
Sure.
And I think it's kind of the fastest route to program changing if it is the quarterback. But I think they've got guys at other spots that can be that way. I mean, you just look at the number of freshmen that have played that I think are going to be, centerpieces of what they're going to do. I mean, I'm thinking of like a Riley Van Poppel. I think he can be that along the defensive line. If they get some of these wide receivers going too, I think they can probably, be that role as well. But it's always easier if it's the quarterback. So, we'll kind of see. I mean, I think they like maybe what Haarberg can be, but I mean, if you can find that kind of transcendent guy at quarterback, it makes things so much easier. And I don't know that it's necessarily there yet.
Hey, Bruntz, Rule said he's never been a part of a team that has absorbed so many offensive injuries and defections in a season. And I'm curious, based on your long-term time covering the Huskers, have you been part of a season where the Huskers have absorbed so many injuries in a season? And if so, how do you remember that season going or solving itself?
The only thing that I can think of, and it's a very specific position, and I don't even know that it was necessarily injuries. It was also kind of like ineffectiveness too, was Nebraska. Remember a couple of years ago, Nebraska's kicker situation? I mean, where you had to go and basically find a guy that was waiting tables at, down in the Haymarket. That's the closest thing I can think of. I mean, when you kind of go down the list of things of what Nebraska's had to deal with this year, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And, you're down 2 running backs. You're down, the guy that you thought was going to be your starting quarterback. You're down basically every wide receiver you thought would potentially be a game changer for you during fall camp. I mean, it's really kind of, remarkable if you're sitting in Marcus Satterfield's chair that, you're just looking around going, okay, now what's going to happen next? I mean, that's basically where you're at. So, yeah, I can't think of anything at Nebraska that even gets close to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, this is my 17th season covering Nebraska football, and I am at a loss for anything that would even get close to that.
Bruntz, I know a lot of people are kind of going through mid-season grades right now and how they think things have fared. Rather than go by position group, is there a guy that you would single out either just on either side of the ball that you would give the highest grade to in terms of their performance this season?
Well, it's got to be on defense.
Sure.
And in my mind, maybe it's recency bias, but I think Gifford's having a heck of a season right now. I think he's, when you kind of talk about, you're asking about kind of cornerstone guys, transformational type guys. I mean, I think he would kind of fit that bill a little bit, maybe not as a younger guy, but a leader, a guy that shows up and plays hard and is really a key piece there. And, with Deshaun Singleton being out for however long he's going to be out, it sounds like he's going to be back at some point. I don't know when that'll be, but, Gifford becomes even more important in that picture in kind of making that defense work on the back end there. So I would probably go towards him. I mean, I think he would be up there. Nash Hutmacher was the other one that kind of came to mind.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a guy that's just, in there completely wrecking shop and holding it down in the middle of that defensive line, it makes everything else look so much better. So I'd probably say those two. I mean, I think they've played so many guys on defense this season. You at various points could probably mention various players, but I think those two have really been the most consistent and probably, in Hutmacher's case, probably the most flashy for what he's been able to do in the run game. And you're seeing that reflected in the stats too.
Bruntz, I don't want to shut down the turning point feeling or narrative, but I'm not sure if I could use that language just yet until this team ends up playing a game in December. And, we were talking a little bit before we chatted with you about the rest of the schedule. And the next 3 games on the schedule really could lead the Huskers to getting to that 6-win mark and playing in December, even if they lose out after that point, because they have Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State. We called them swing games. We don't have any game jotted down as a W yet on the schedule. And I'm curious, is that the approach that fans, like all fans, should take by not just writing down a W and knowing that even though Michigan State's not a fantastic football team, Northwestern's not a fantastic football team, that's still considered a swing game for this team?
I don't think that anybody should be writing W's on the schedule before it happens when it comes to Nebraska at this point. Purdue is the kind of program that Nebraska has lost to consistently over the last, 3-4 years. Even Northwestern. I mean, they've beaten Nebraska when Nebraska's been the better team. They have their warts, they have their issues. There's no denying that. But I think sometimes Nebraska fans view things through the lens of maybe where Nebraska was coming into the Big Ten rather than how things have played out on the field the last few years. There are no doubt, according to the numbers and everything else, games that Nebraska should very much be in will probably be favored in the next 2, as they should be. But, you saw the other night. You've got a chance to basically put Illinois out of its misery. Mm-hmm. They're basically begging to be beaten, and you can't. You fumble the ball twice in the red zone. Those types of plays, you've got to get them out of the program before you can start, really banking on wins. That being said, these are opponents that, are going through their own transition. Northwestern, obviously, they've had a heck of a year, just put it that way. Purdue is, looks good sometimes, looks lost at other times. Michigan State obviously has their things that they're going through. These are all games that Nebraska is going to be right in. It's going to be a matter of whether or not they can make winning plays. That said, but the way the schedule is, there's a very legit chance that Nebraska could be staring at a bowl game by the time they leave East Lansing. So the opportunity's there. It's just going to be a big test about whether or not Nebraska can capitalize and do the things that they haven't done as a program for the last, basically since 2016. I mean, that was the last time Nebraska won 3 games in a row, and that's what you'd be asking them to do to kind of run the table on these next 3.
We're talking with Michael Bruntz of Husker 24/7. Hey, I want to change gears a little bit with you here, Bruntz. You're still a Heisman voter, right?
I am.
So I'm curious, and I know you're not supposed to kind of reveal what your thought process is, so I don't want to get you in trouble here. So answer this however you're
Heinrich Harburg.
However you're allowed to without getting in trouble. But I've been thinking a lot about, Caleb Williams and, how there hasn't been a repeat Heisman winner since Archie Griffin. And I guess kind of in your mind, you see this in the NBA and stuff a lot too, for guys that win back-to-back MVPs or stuff like that. They generally have to be significantly better than they were the previous year in order to get the award again. Is that kind of how you're processing this repeat thing with Caleb Williams? How much of it does it kind of depend on USC's team success? I guess, what's your thought process there? Does it add more weight that it hasn't been done in almost 50 years?
You're right. I mean, I think there's a little bit of a penalty for being the defending
winner,
right?
Yeah.
Like, I would kind of go along with that. I mean, he's been good. I don't know that he's been, like I would, if I were voting today, not doing the OJ if I did it thing, but like I would have reservations probably about putting him number 1. Like, it felt like last year it was like, okay, this is the guy, and you kind of knew it pretty early on in the season, just the way that he kind of came out and played. And I think there's other guys that are playing really good football too. I think Michael Penix Jr. deserves some consideration.
Who's the favorite now?
I don't know how many people stay up late and watch Washington football. I suggest they do it.
He's so good.
He's very, very good, and that offense is very good. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a little bit more of a show me factor for Williams this year, and I don't know. I mean, I think in some ways too, maybe it shouldn't, but the defense that he's kind of dragging around like a boat anchor is probably not helping him. I mean, it's really not. So I don't. I have not made any decisions. I'll put it that way. But I agree with you. I think there is a little bit of a kind of how do you top this if you're trying to be a 2-time winner.
I want to stick with USC for a second. So you tweeted out a video of them running around with water jugs spraying their players to get ready for the rain because it never rains.
It's not even a spray. It's just kind of a sprit.
No, that is what you put Roundup in to kill weeds.
That's what I was saying. It looks like they're spraying weed killer at their players. I guess that does not inspire confidence in me that the USC
and they're still dropping balls.
I don't know. I watch that and I go, yeah, maybe this is not a real well-oiled machine there in Los Angeles. I watch that and I go, oh, maybe really Lincoln Riley only can coach quarterbacks. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's very much like a couple of staffers were sitting in the equipment shed looking at what they could find to potentially simulate rain, and you got like a bucket there. You could kind of do like
just like throw water at
the Harlem Globetrotters, like confetti in the face, and then they kind of over in the corner see the weed sprayer, and they're like, well, maybe we could do that. Like in the video, is the player even being hit? Like,
no.
It's like
you just have this guy.
I love him trying to chase him down.
He's chasing him with the Roundup thing,
and he can't even get close because he doesn't know where the punt is going.
Yeah. I was like sitting at a stoplight last night, just giggling to myself about that. They're gonna have fun in the Big Ten. Put it that way.
Honestly, it looks like something they would have done in like Major League or something.
I hope the Huskers troll them because we're on a big troll kick this morning after watching what the Phillies fans did to the Braves. I hope the Huskers just have big buckets of water and then after a punt,
just throw them
like Billy Kemp just runs and then they throw it. No, they don't even hit the guy. They just throw it and just miss him.
Bruntz, we appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you, Bruntsy.
Coming up next, we're going to play a game.
Heck yeah.
Not like Saw, though. More on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Ravi Lulla here. Andrew Rogers here with me.
That's me.
Well, that is you. want to tell you about our friends at Pratt Dental. Dr. Pratt is the only dentist in Nebraska that provides the BioClear method. He is certified in it. Located in North Platte, Nebraska, the BioClear method and modern smile design can correct many aesthetic dilemmas in a permanent and less invasive manner than traditional treatments. Give Pratt Dental a call, 308-221-2800. Want to remind you that we're on an AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities in central Nebraska, and for the 9 o'clock hour, KFOR, our friends in Lincoln.
How about that?
Andrew, you tell me you have a game.
I have a game. You want to play?
You know, I would like to play.
I don't have a puppet, though, with
Good.
red targets on its cheeks.
Not a big puppet guy.
Riding in on a bike.
Now, Muppets maybe, but puppets, no. That's a
no, okay. So
that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a movie.
Saw? That
puppet coming out on the tricycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Freaked
fun.
me out. Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah.
It is Halloween season, though.
It
so
is.
Saw is probably on
man.
TV.
I have a really hard time watching sports in October because it's a great sports month, right? You got NFL, you got college football.
Arguably one of the best sports months.
Yeah, it really is. It's probably
NHL starts off
for me second behind March, and March is carried only because I love the NCAA tournament so much. But it's probably the best overall sports month. You know, you got basketball. Well, and basketball is about to start too because the NBA starts at the end of the month, right? So great month. Every sports station, though, every game has these freaking horror commercials. I can't tell you how many times I miss chunks of game because I'm like panicking with my remote to get it off of the Exorcist Believe commercial. I'm like, I hate that. I hate horror movies, and I don't even want to watch the commercials because I'll have nightmares. I'm a child. It's the worst.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a game.
It's
this
tough,
game isn't
tough
the
out
worst.
here. Good. I'm
It's
excited.
not the worst. And here is the game. We are going to double dip here.
Okay, is that what the game's called?
No, but that is a great name for a game, and I'll save it for a different place. We're going to do this for the radio and for social media.
Okay.
Same time, we are building an NFL team using the generator that you get on social media.
Okay.
So, you know, like when you had the logos pop above your head and you see people, they click on it, and if it stops on the Lions, you choose a player from the Lions.
Jared Goff or
right.
Yeah,
but here's what we're doing, Robbie.
Okay.
You can pick from any position. You get a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers.
Okay.
I'm going to type these down.
I am. I want to make sure. 2 wide receivers.
A tight end, a kicker, an offensive line, a defense, and a coach. Okay?
Okay.
And we'll build a team. So if it lands on the Lions and I say I take Amon-Ra St. Brown,
sure,
that means you can't also take Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have to take somebody else.
Okay.
Then the next team that goes, you get the first pick.
Okay.
And so forth. At the very end of this, during the break, I'm going to tally up via fantasy scores.
Who did the best?
What I saw last week in fantasy. Okay.
Okay.
Who did the best? And then we'll grade our team that way. Don't pick your guys based on how you think they did last week, though.
Okay.
Pick the better player.
All right.
And then we'll just go from there.
How are we evaluating offensive line and coach on fantasy points?
Those aren't being evaluated.
Okay, just the other ones.
Yep, just the other ones.
Okay, got
but
it.
This is going to be the team that we build, and then we're going to let our audience grade how they think we did. Kind of similar what we did to yesterday with flag
football?
or Tuesday with flag
Okay,
football.
sure, yeah.
But this is kind of a new twist on it. All right, you
let's
ready
do
to
it.
go?
I'm in.
Would you? I'm going to give you first pick.
Oh,
okay.
What a generous guy you are.
So you know what? I'm just going to start this thing off.
Let's see what the generator.
Team 1 is the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh, okay. This one's a little tough. I'm going to go with my guy Mark Andrews at tight end, fellow type 1 diabetic. Shout out. Let's go, Mark Andrews.
Do I go Lamar this early?
See, that's what I think I can get a better quarterback. I go Mark Andrews. Where are you going?
I'm going to go Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
We'll take Lamar as my quarterback. Ken asked a very good question, and I'm prepared to answer.
Okay.
What if the spinner lands on a bye week team? If that's the case, then I am going to take the fantasy points of the most recent week before.
Yeah, the most recent week.
Correct.
Good question, Ken.
All right, team 2. My choice. My choice.
You get to go first.
The Patriots. I will take. I'm going to take Bill Belichick.
Dang it.
That is such a great team to get going first.
It's the worst team
this
to get
early.
going second. I'm going to go. I think the defense is still pretty good. I'm going to go defense for New England.
All right, Robbie, lean in here.
Hold on. I got to write down my team.
He's got to type in the defense. Lean in.
Am I closing up? There we go.
All right, here we go.
Come on, Chiefs.
Ravens again. Yikes.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Whew. I got to look up.
Well, do we do Ravens times 2 or do we do a new team?
Let's do another one. We don't want to double up on teams, right? You going this time?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Because you'll just get the Ravens again. The Rams. Rams.
Give me my guy Puka.
Puka
Nacua. That's my guy.
I'll take Cooper Kupp.
Look at that. Just the wide receivers for the Rams doing the Lord's work.
Hey, not bad. Not bad at all. Chicago Bears. Oh boy. I will take DJ Moore.
See, I've got a terrific one for this one, and I know you said not to do this, but he's on my fantasy team, so I know he balled out last week. I'm going Justin Fields.
Well, DJ Moore balled out too.
I know.
I
was playing DJ Moore with Justin Fields,
but that's still the right choice. Both of those guys are the right choice.
Yes, for every time that Justin Fields did something good, like my score would go up, but I was like, oh, there's one up more. Dang it.
All right, next choice here, Ravi. The Panthers.
Ooh, the Panthers.
Woo.
Whew. Shoot. I don't know if I like anybody on the Panthers.
Thank goodness you took New England's defense. Because I know what I'm choosing.
I'm just trying to think of anybody besides Bryce Young on the Panthers.
Miles Sanders is their running back.
Okay, Miles Sanders isn't bad. Who do we got at wide receivers for?
They have Adam Thielen. He's a stud.
He was a stud,
but he's been playing really well.
All right, hold on.
Adam
Who do we
Thielen's
got here?
always been just always good.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think I have to go Miles Sanders here.
Okay, I'm taking Carolina's defense.
Well, good for you.
And here we go. The next team on the list, the Buffalo Bills. Unbelievable that I can't take Diggs here.
I think it's terrific. I think it's wonderful.
I am going to take the Bills offensive line.
All right, I'm taking Diggs.
Well, because I already have DJ Moore.
I know. I had a spot open. I'm ready to go.
There's Robbie.
I've got kicker, offensive line, and coach left.
Vikings.
Oof. Who's the Vikings kicker? Do we like the Vikings kicker? I'm trying to remember here. Who is the Viking? Should we? I can't even remember off the top of my.
Only Vikings kicker I can think of on my head right now is Blair Walsh, and that's not right.
I'm thinking I was going all the way back to Gary Anderson.
Greg Joseph, huh?
Listen, I don't like their coach. I don't feel good about the offensive line. I guess I'm going Greg Joseph.
All right, I'm going to take TJ Hawkinson at tight end.
That's a good pick. That's a better pick than Greg Joseph.
Didn't you have tight end open?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you had Andrews.
I had Andrews.
Even better.
I went Andrews early.
All right. Huge. Okay, I got a kicker and a running back left. I need somebody good.
Offensive line.
Rams again. Oh, we already made the rule though. No back-to-back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did.
Thank goodness.
Dang it. I was going to take McVay.
Come on. Bills.
Ooh, okay.
Can't do it.
Oh, yeah, we already did it. Dang it.
Can't do it.
Give me a Niners in here. Jeez.
Saints. Okay. I don't want to. Do I take Kamara? Kamara isn't bad.
Kamara's not bad. Kamara
isn't bad at all.
Kamara's very
Could
solid.
I get a better running back than Kamara?
I mean, we're running out of time is the problem.
All right. I'll go
Isn't their kicker solid?
You know, I think so.
Their kicker is.
Unless he was last year.
Oh.
Will Lutz isn't there anymore, right?
I have no idea. I don't pay attention. You're the kicker guy. You love kickers.
Son of a gun. I'm going to go Alvin Kamara.
I guess I'm going to go Dennis Allen as my coach here.
Do you have kicker open?
No, I don't. I have only
All
offensive line and coach. I'm guessing going Dennis Allen for coach.
Here we go. Last team. Seahawks.
I guess I'm offensive
Jason
line.
Myers? Okay.
I should have waited. I'm going offensive line for
That's
Seahawks.
fine.
That's not bad.
I could have taken Kenneth Walker or Alvin Kamara. That's fine.
Yeah, you're okay there, I think.
Jason Myers is in
No, Myers is in Seattle, I think.
Is he? I thought he was.
I'm pretty sure.
I thought he was in Miami.
I think he's in Seattle. I think I dropped him off my team a couple weeks ago.
All right, Jason Myers is Seattle. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so you're good there,
All right,
Jason
all right,
Meyer.
we're
All right, so our
fine.
teams are complete.
I will count up the fantasy points.
The number cruncher is up next.
And we will go from there.
We'll see how we do. We'll wrap up the show next on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I know you can't see it, but you're back.
Oh, thanks, Shane.
Wrapping up the show here on a Thursday. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's Andrew Rogers. This is Hurrdat Sports Radio.
And naturally, once a day,
Internet goes down.
We will try to reconnect.
Yeah, we're trying to reconnect so you can see us on the stream. But, of course, you can listen to us on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, or KFOR in Lincoln. You hit that refresh button, Andrew. Let's see what happens. While you're doing that, I want to tell you about our friends at Rockbrook Camera. They are not just about selling you a camera. They're about trying to help you become the best photographer you can be, whether you're just, recording your life and sharing it with your friends, or if you're trying to be a professional photographer. Rockbrook Camera has you covered. They'll support you after the sale. They've got monthly classes and things like that to help you get acquainted with your new camera. You can trade in your old equipment to help you upgrade, or you can check out their extensive rental department as well. Go to rockbrookcamera.com to learn more, or visit them 168th and West Center in Omaha, or 70th and Pioneer in Lincoln. That's Rockbrook Camera. We had a spirited, I think, competition in the last segment, and
some point tallying during the break.
There was some furious mathematics happening, the maths, as they say, across the pond. And I ended up with a sporting 104.88.
Not bad.
I thought pretty respectable. Andrew, what'd you end up with?
With 111.54, and that includes a -1 from the Carolina defense.
Yeah, they did not help you out at all. But DJ Moore was like, "Don't worry,
I'll pick up the slack.
I got you." I needed Justin Fields to throw to just anybody else, and that was not possible.
Well,
apparently,
that's what happens when you catch the ball for 220 and 3 touchdowns or something crazy like that. No, reading off the teams, though, it's interesting because I have Lamar, Kamara, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, TJ Hawkinson, Jason Myers, the Bills O-line, and Carolina's defense. That looks like a Super Bowl team with Bill Belichick as my head coach.
Hey, I think you take it, right? You took the head coach I wanted with the Patriots there. I was really disappointed we didn't get any 49ers on the board.
I know, me too. McCaffrey.
There was a ton of McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk.
Their defense.
Brock, the defense, Kyle Shanahan. Basically,
Moody.
Their offensive line. Just pick one. Just pick a guy, right?
So in this game, the way I take it is the quarterback and the O-line were just kind of throwaway picks.
Not the quarterback.
Well, not the quarterback. The O-line.
Or the coach and the O-line.
Yep. Yeah, because I wanted to kind of build a full team.
Yeah, but they don't have fantasy points for O-line or coaches, obviously.
Let me ask you this. Is 42 points good so far through 5 games for a kicker?
5 games. What is that? About 8 a game? Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's average.
That's what the Saints kicker has. That's why.
And who's the Saints kicker?
Blake Grump.
Yeah, see, Will Lutz is not there anymore. I was like, I haven't heard that dude's name. I would say that's average for a kicker. When you're looking for fantasy points, you're probably searching for 10 points a week.
Yeah, if you can get to double digits, that's really good. I'd be, honestly, if I could just chalk in 8 every week, I'd be pretty happy. But
most of the time too, it just depends on the team and how close they know, or if they end up scoring a touchdown or not. Because if you kick 40-yard field goals and you bury them, that's 4 points every 40-yard field goal.
Yeah, you're good to go there.
A 50-yard field goal is 5 points, and so forth down the list. A PAT is only 1.
Kickers are kind of tricky because you need an offense that's good but not super good. Because you need them to not finish in the red zone so they can kick field goals instead of extra points. So you go
but it's not ideal because you want to have touchdowns.
Like Tyler Bass has been really good for me.
Yeah.
Kicker for the Bills.
Yeah.
They score often, but they also get down the field more times than not and rely on him to kick if need be. He's a good kicker. I have Jake Moody because I think the 49ers are one of those teams that
they
struggled to put the ball in the end zone.
Sometimes, but they move the ball.
But they move the ball down the field like it's their job, but it's their job. In all my fantasy leagues, I kind of just go for kickers I like.
Which you're welcome on Jake Moody, by the way. We were at a high school game, and you were doing your draft, and I'm like, listen, Jake Moody, they drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round. That's your guy.
And
out of
he
Michigan.
became my guy.
And
I
he's
have
been good.
I have Tyler Bass, like I said, in one league. I have Evan McPherson in
Okay,
another.
yeah.
A Bengals player that team has really struggled to find the end zone.
Yeah, so that I
find
was
the
going to say
colored
McPherson.
grass.
I bet was pretty good there. But yeah, Jake Moody. Been happy with Jake Moody after Robbie Gould finally moves on from a 35-year NFL career, basically been around forever. But no, that was a fun game. I liked that. That was you come up with that all on your own?
No, I borrowed that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Totally borrowed that.
I was gonna say, dang, that's pretty.
I know. Yeah, it's just a fun little thing.
One of these days, I'm going to make you do an immaculate grid. We're going to do an immaculate grid on the air.
Let's do it.
And we'll do what sport do you usually go for?
I
bet you're good at baseball.
I prefer baseball.
Yeah.
But I can kind of do the NFL. Hockey's really hard.
Yeah, hockey's really hard.
Really
I'd be
hard.
terrible at hockey.
Just because I don't really, outside of from, let's just call it 2005 till now.
Yeah.
The people changing teams, and I got to find an Ottawa Senator that was also a Philadelphia Flyer, and I'm like, to be honest, man, I started playing fantasy hockey in like 2015.
Yeah.
So like I could probably do from 2015 to now.
Yeah.
Kind of gets a little dicey in the 5 to 15 window, but before that, no way.
Especially when because you're trying to get the most rare guy you can find that finds those qualifications.
No, not me. I just look to fill the grid.
To get anybody?
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll try and just fill the grid, but sometimes I try and get the deep cuts in there. I'm actually not bad at baseball because I was a huge baseball nerd growing up, and so some like the 90s and early 2000s baseball is really my sweet spot. But I'm pretty good at the NBA also. The NFL one's really hard sometimes. Like that one can be really tricky because guys, especially kind of journeyman guys, they move around so much, and I kind of lose track of guys.
So
sometimes.
baseball, I find it easy for me because the roster is so big for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
That I know majority of where the Cardinals go after they're a Cardinal or before they're a Cardinal.
Where they were before.
Right. So I'm able to just go through my roster first.
Yep.
Fill it up with as many Cardinals as I can, and then fill in the blanks.
And go in. I do the same thing with the Red Sox. I'm like, okay, I know this guy was in Cincinnati before.
Have you ever gotten a perfect one?
Yeah, I've gotten the entire grid before.
I've only ever one time, and it was with the Boys Down Bad podcast.
Yeah,
that's on our network.
Nice.
Yeah, only one time.
I haven't been on there yet. I've been on No Block No Rock. I went on a couple weeks ago.
Highly recommend, just like No Block No Rock, to show up in studio.
Yeah.
And not just because it's just better all around.
Yeah, it's more fun.
But going to the Boys Down Bad podcast, like you would think based on what you watch that they're in like this podcast studio. And it turns out just to be an extra bedroom in the guy's house.
And I'm like, deck it out.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's just a fun environment. Now, make sure to bring your own fan because it doesn't feel like the AC is ever on in that room.
It's a little toasty.
It gets
in
toasty.
There.
It gets
well,
toasty.
We're getting to a little cooler part of the year. Maybe I'll be okay.
Maybe open a window.
Yeah, maybe just crack the window in there. No, so there's I was talking about this I think the other day with Avery, but talking about kind of these like old school baseball players that these random guys. Is there a dude, maybe he didn't play for the Cardinals, that you just have this super weird affinity for?
Cal Ripken Jr.
I mean, like a guy that wasn't good, like a random.
Oh, okay.
Because for me, and he actually ended up playing for the Red Sox, I was for whatever reason obsessed with Willie Mopena. And I
nice.
It might have just been his name, but he also had like ungodly power. Could not. I mean, he was like Pedro Serrano for Major League. Like, could not hit the curveball, hit straight ball very well, but could not hit the curveball at all. But I went to Kauffman in like 05, 06, whenever he had his brief stint with the Red Sox, and they used to have a Dodge Ram like way up on the hill that you could win if you hit it.
Yeah,
he cleared the Dodge Ram with a home run, and like everybody thought it was going to hit it, and they were like, oh, somebody's going to win a truck. And it just like sailed over it. And we were like, wait, what? Like this dude had prodigious power.
Right.
But you go look at his stats. I think he had a couple 20 home run seasons, but was like a pretty nondescript major leaguer. But I loved Willie Mopena.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a guy that fits the description.
Can I give you
because,
one?
Like Sotaguchi for the Cardinals was somebody that I just loved just because of his name and the type of player he was, a little speedy, scrappy. But I'm trying to think of somebody that wasn't on the team. So go ahead,
Shane, what do you got?
And it's not in baseball, but it's in football. And
Okay.
You'd be surprised that it is a Raider, but Van McElroy, he was a safety for the Raiders in the late 80s, early 90s. And that guy could play. He was only there for about 4 or 5 years. And now he's a agent in the NFL, by the way. But he could play. That guy. I mean, I was kind of obsessed with him a little bit to the point to where, I mean, I had all his cards, all that kind of stuff, and he just never really went up to the next level, which I thought he would. Which it happens.
You know who I really liked?
Who's that?
Josh Hamilton.
Oh yeah, okay. I like Josh Hamilton.
I don't know if he
had a
like
good story.
I don't know
He's
if he
probably a little too
fits
good.
it, yeah, but I really liked him. Just because of his home run derby.
Dude, the home run derby was incredible.
Oh.
Which is funny because he didn't even win that home run derby.
No.
That's the best part. But it's one of the
kind of
most,
like Vlad Guerrero Jr. last year. Hit a ton of home runs and didn't win.
It's one of the most memorable home run derby moments, and he didn't even win, and no one cares, right?
Right.
That's kind of what the home run derby is for. Like, nobody cares about who wins. It's about kind of the moments you go through. That's a good one. He's probably a little better.
Right. I'm thinking of playoff teams right now. That's why I'm a little stuck. Craig Biggio.
Okay, Biggio's a good
but
one.
I still think he's
a
too
Hall
good.
of Famer.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
still think he's too good.
he's
But I
really
got his
good.
autograph growing up
Sure.
in Busch Stadium, and
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was because I'm 7.
Yeah, right.
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a 3,000 hit club member.
Sure,
and
yeah.
You're not going to say like Willie McGee or somebody like that?
No, he's too bad. He doesn't fit
Tommy
like
Hurd?
the okay.
You know what would have been one for me for the I was kind of a Rick Ankiel guy because I like how he came back,
dude. Pitcher,
figured out
then
his
outfielder,
career.
and then oh man,
Like
what
a lot of credit for that dude.
the career-ending injury he had running into the wall
Brutal.
was disgusting.
But you felt so I felt so happy for him that he was able to come back and figure out his career after that. But,
Well, the next time we talk,
yeah,
I'll have somebody.
ruminate on that.
I will, because I still need to, and this will happen next week.
Yeah.
I still need to tell you my Angel Hernandez.
Oh yeah.
Not just it's not a story like that I know Angel Hernandez, but I got into it with an umpire a couple of weekends ago about Angel Hernandez.
Well, we'll get to that next week. Tomorrow will be Mike Sauter. You'll hear more of Andrew Rogers next week. This has been Hurrdat Sports Radio.